Hello? Is this thing on? Hello, everyone. We have, because of democracy, I always think these are, I wonder if people actually want these, because if you want to ask me something, you can just ask on Discord. But this is, I was going to do one of these for 2K, but I didn't. I did one for 1K subscribers, but we hit 3K subs. So we will be doing a live Q&A where you ask me things, and I guess I answer them. I think I have a few questions on the post that was here before. So we can start with those, and then thank you, Isaac. Thank you. I mean, Darmok and Jalad. Sorry. Most of some of the questions are just like, pick only one of these authors is allowed to exist. Pick which one, and I'm deleting people from reality now. Thank you, good sir. So I guess let's delete some people from reality. Let's hello, Eric. Hello, Aslan. Thank you, everyone. So this is Eevee is just like, you can only pick one, GGK or Lois McMaster Bejeweled, and Terra Ignota or Dandelion Dynasty. And I clarified, like, can only pick one in what context. And should choose one in either pairing, the other cannot exist. And then in brackets, their works, their writing, etc. So I'd like it to be known, in this hypothetical, I am not killing one of Guy Gavriel K or Lois McMaster Bejeweled and erasing them from reality, season 5 of Doctor Who crack in the wall style, because that would be rather rude. I guess I can share screen to show these, presumably. Like so? Does that work? Hey, it does. I'm answering it right now, Evie. I was just reading it, and I was clarifying for everyone that you did specify, you can all see it there, that you did specify that I'm not deleting the other from existence, which would be rather rude. So the first one, unfortunately for Miss Bejeweled, is very easy. I'm taking GGK without thinking. I'm a very big fan of one Louis Bejeweled, but I like most of the Guy Gavriel K books more than most of the Lois Bejeweled books. Dandelion or Terra Ignota, on the other hand, is extraordinarily difficult, and I actually don't know what I'm going to answer. Like, when I read this question, I was just like, well, GGK, obviously. Dandelion or Terra Ignota. So, Speaking Bone, they're both 4-book series as well. And also for both of them, the last book, 2 books, is kind of one big book. So Speaking Bones is my favorite book of both series, so that's a point in its favor. But then I think if I were to rank all the books among each other, it'd be like Speaking Bones, and then perhaps The Stars and Seven Surrenders are a coin flip, and then Wall Storms, and then I guess Two Like the Lightning, and then Veiled Throne, and then Will to Battle, and then Grace of Kings. So it's pretty balanced. I think I'm gonna say I'm gonna go with Dandelion Dynasty because Speaking Bones is my favorite book. Yeah, I mean, Speaking Bones is so good. That is rough. That one is much harder than GGK or Lois Bejeweled. And then Snitch 420 asked me, what is the most incriminating thing you've ever done? And the interesting thing, I probably should have checked this, but I believe the definition of incriminating is not necessarily like illegal, but something that would lead to you getting charged for doing something illegal. Okay, here's the thing. No. But also, I'm glad I picked Terra Ignota then, because I would have had... Wait, does that mean if I'd picked Dandelion Dynasty to not exist, I could just burn my, like, US mismatched editions of the Dandelion Dynasty, and I'd still have... you can't quite see them on the screen. I'd still have... Also, by the way, new bookshelf. I'd still have the Broken Mining ones over there. Now I'm trying to think of what's the most incriminating thing I've done. So not even something illegal, something that's like likely to lead to me being held responsible for doing something illegal. which is tough because I don't do very many illegal things. And if I am going to do an illegal thing, it's usually something that I'm not gonna like get in trouble for. Maybe the most incriminating thing I've ever done is 3 seconds ago when I said I've done illegal things. Um, I did it too early. Like I did it too recently is the problem. I can't do it twice in 1 year. I should have waited to do the first one and then done it after I built these. I got impatient. So now I'll do the next one in like 3 years or something. That's how this works. I'm legitimately trying to come up with something incriminating that I've done. The fact that I don't know. I mean, this guy's name is Snitch. I probably shouldn't tell him. He doesn't seem very trustworthy. And then this person asked me, what is the best way to find love? Which is extraordinarily unhinged thing to ask me. I have no idea. Find someone to give you. My advice is don't. There's Snitch. So I can trust you, right? Like if I tell you something incriminating, you're not going to tell the police, right? I no, I always say sorry. I follow the Canadian stereotype. I will admit sometimes I don't mean the sorry. But the thing is, if anything, saying sorry when you don't mean it would be the incriminating thing, because it'd be like something I didn't actually do and be like, sorry, just like, being Canadian. And it'd be like, oh, you did do it. So I feel like not saying sorry would be not incriminating. Saying sorry, that would be incriminating. Anyway, my advice to Kale is to find more qualified people to seek advice from. And then Josh is asking who are my other top 5 authors. I do that. I'm Canadian. We all do that. Well, you're an honorary Canadian if you do that all the time. Congratulations. You're now allowed to eat poutine and feel pride when you eat poutine. That's all you get for being Canadian, because it's like really unhealthy. So usually it'd be like, why am I eating this? But it's like, this is my national food. So I'm proud of the fact that I'm eating it. These fries with gravy and cheese curds. Health. Bro, how am I supposed to answer this without spoiling Battleground? Like, I don't know. Probably Jim will be mean to Harry. Welcome. Enjoy your poutine. Yeah, I'm trying to come up with a way I can make a prediction without spoiling like the rest of the series. I'm really interested for 12 months because it's going to be like a different structure than all the other books. Can I make the prediction that I like it more than the consensus? Because I think that structure sounds awesome. I can make the prediction that the because I feel like most series kind of have 2 camps of fans. Basically, like they have the ones who like people who aren't necessarily like reading or fantasy fans. They're fans of like one medium. Like you have Cosmere fans. You don't read non-Cosmere things. You have a Song of Ice and Fire fans. So like they haven't read another fantasy book in the last 20 years, but like they've read a Game of Thrones 12 times. And know all the theories and watch all the stuff on YouTube. And I feel like the Dresden specific fans who aren't like fans of reading generally, who happen to really like Dresden, will probably like it less. But I think the like general reading fans might like it more, just because it's it's really different structurally. Yeah, there's not a release date yet. Jim has said he's gonna finish it like soon, but it's Jim time. Jim time is not particularly reliable. He's I love my man Jim, but he's very optimistic when predicting his own timelines for finishing books, and generally like you got to double or triple it in your head. Anyway, other top 5 authors. Josh is right that Hobb and GGK are 1 and 2. I only get 5. Shirley Brandon is still in that top 5. Shirley Jim is in that top 5 still. And then I have to choose between like Ken Liu, Ada Palmer, Louis Bujold, would those be the main people I'm choosing between? I mean, Charles DeLint in the future could get up there, but I've only had one book from him. I'll put Louis Bujold as 5 because of sample size. What am I more hyped for? Written on the Dark or 12 months? Well, I don't know if we're actually going to get 12 months next year. Like, we probably will, but that's not confirmed. So I feel like having a release date helps me be hyped for Written on the Dark. It's like, if you presume that we are going to get both, which am I expecting to like more? I think I'm more hyped for 12 months because being a book in a series makes it inherently more exciting, because I'm not just excited for it in isolation, like expecting that it's going to be a book I read next year that's really good, which is my expectation for Written on the Dark. I'm specifically hyped for specific things because I have an idea of what storylines that I've already read will be continued, while Written on the Dark is going to be like completely new characters that I've never met before. We got more congrats from Dreamer, Fernando, and Johanna. Hello, everyone. Thank you. My interview with Butcher was A tier because the Legendarium podcast interview with Butcher was clearly better than it, and you can't be S tier and have something clearly better than you, because that defeats the point of S tier. But also I really appreciate it, and I actually like I'm very proud of that interview. You might have noticed, which you probably haven't, but they're like at the end of videos, you can put the card of like what video comes up next, and there's like the icon that's like subscribe to the channel, and there's a video. And usually I would just like let the algorithm recommend it. But for like 10, I don't even know if I've done 10 videos after that. For every video after that, I've put the Jim Butcher interview as the recommended. So it just recommends the Jim Butcher interview to everyone if you get to the end of one of my videos, instead of having the algorithm recommend whichever one it thinks you like the most. So that would be how I feel about that video compared to all my other videos. And we have one more question, which I'm going to answer really quick. We're going to actually do acting here, okay? Because it's gun to the head. Hob or GGK? Have you chosen? Will you ever choose? So I am going to act this out. When I am looking this way, I'm going to be a person with a gun to me's head, making me choose. And when I'm looking this way, I'll be myself, having to choose. So here I am, I'm walking around, I turn around the corner, and the guy's got a gun to my head. He's like, stay right there. And I'm like, don't kill me. Crap, please. He's like, you have to choose. And I'm like, oh, what am I have to choose? This is going to be hard. He's like, if you don't answer, I'm going to shoot you. Oh no, I'm scared. Which author do you like more? Guy Gavriel Kay or Robin Hubb? And as soon as the H sound comes, Robin Hubb. It's Robin Hubb. So close. Robin Hubb's the goat. Love you, GGK. But right, man writes good. But no, it's Robin Hubb. It's by far. Like I like she's my favorite author, like by a huge margin. Yeah. And then the guy's like, oh, I was expecting that to be more intense and to be like a hard decision. And I'm like, well, if you wanted there to be a harder decision between Robin Hobb and someone else, the other people should have written books better, I guess. Because it's Robin Hobb. And then presumably I wouldn't get shot. No, the way this works is I don't get shot. Also, thank you, Anitha. All right, I'm reading Death Mask right now. I already liked White Knight. Well, now I'm very confused because White Knight is book 9 and Death Mask is book 5. Presumably, also White Knight is not a book, because White Knight is not day. It's white, not day. So presumably, you mean Summer Night. In which case, yes, and Death Mask is awesome. So this is I'm gonna stop going screen share. This is an interesting question, I think, because like which books have changed you as a person? Because feels like if there's a premise that if you draw that, like I was going through one path on life and then I read a book and it like abruptly altered. I don't think that's happened. I think depending on how you frame the question, it's either like all the books have had an impact on who I am, because everything you read, I think, changes who you are, or like none of them individually, but the ones that have had a largest change, it feels like a less exciting answer because the thing that has changed is it's caused me to read more, which it feels like if I'm going to say that an individual book has had a profound impact on like who I am as a person, then it should be changing things other than like causing me to read more. So like I didn't know what genre I liked and I didn't read super consistently. And then I read The Final Empire and I was like, I want more of that. So in a way, like The Final Empire did have a profound impact on my life because it led to me reading a lot more books, which in totality have a significant impact on who I am outside the context of reading. But I don't know if there's any individual book that has a significant impact on who I am outside the context of reading. There are probably authors like Robin Hobb in totality, Jim Butcher in totality. I think have both affected my moral compass, and I believe in a good way. But I like that's spread out over like 25 and more than 25. How many books has Jim Butcher written? 17 Dresden books, 6 Alra books is 23 and 25, and then 2 short story collections, 27, I guess. And then the 19 and I guess Piebald Prince counts, so like 20 Realm of the Otherlings books. So in totality, those have the most. I have not. But I know that acting out was it a moving experience? Did you feel immersed in the scene? That's what I was going for. I haven't. I have only read Realm of the Elderlings and Soldier's Son. I have a copy of Wizard of the Pigeons here somewhere. Did I forget to put that on the main shelf? Is it on the other shelf? Huh. I meant to have that on the shelf. I must have forgotten it on the shelf in my room. So anyway, I own Wizard of the Pigeons. I got it signed because I got it in Seattle at Emerald Con, and Ryan Robin Hobb was there. So, which author's work are you planning to binge read next? Can I answer Lois Bajolde again? Because I think probably the next time I go on a vacation, like I'll probably binge the rest. I still have about like I don't know 8 Vorkoskin novels to go, and I'll probably binge them. Is there any authors like? Thank you. That cover of the Mad Ship does slap. This book is really really overpriced, and I only would have bought it. I only bought it because it's live ship. Like it's Subterranean Press edition, and it like the artwork is very nice, and obviously like it's high quality paper, like basically no interior art. But it's live ship, so I bought it because live ship. All right, what's the author I'm most likely to binge read next? I don't know. Like I don't binge that many authors anymore. I could see myself binging Charles DeLint at some point. Like the Newford books. I could see me reading like 7 of those in a row. Tchaikovsky's possible. What should I read next? Fool's Quest, Speaking Bones, or Howling Dark? Well, if there's ever been a 3-road fork where all the options are good, this is one of them. So I'm going to just not overthink it and pick the one of these that's my favorite and say Speaking Bones. Yeah, we're going to go Speaking Bones. Because it's like, I feel like if you've already read Veiled Throne, man, you kind of got cliffhanger because Veiled Throne just ends, and then Fool's Assassin is cliffhangery. Howling Dark is one where Empire of Silence is the least cliffhangery, and Howling Dark is my least favorite of those 3 books. So it was between Speaking Bones and Fool's Quest. I'm going to say Speaking Bones because I think it's weird to take a bigger gap between Veiled Throne and Speaking Bones since they're essentially one book. Thank you. That's all right. What are your favorite tropes in fantasy? This is a good question. That it's tough to find the answer to. I really like the like I don't know if that's actually like it's like there are some tropes that I like, but I always forget what they are until I read them, and then I'm like, that's a really good trope. I mean, is just like the not strong but clever protagonist, like Miles Vorkoskin, Tavi, um, like, does that count? I mean, animal companions are pretty awesome. Um, I don't know. Um, thank you. I'm hoping to get nominated for some awards. Thank you, Josh. You did miss the answer to your question. I ended up coming with Brandon Sanderson, Jim Butcher, and Louis Bujold as the other three, with some being a hard choice. Yeah, I got this. I accidentally did order it the wrong way. I wanted the one that faced right. I accidentally ordered the one that's faced left. So I don't really have a great place to put it. But whatever. Thank you, good sir. All right, favorite and most annoying trend in fantasy. So for like recent books, I mean, I would just say my favorite trend is the amount of variation in the aesthetic of the novel, like the setting. And I just think, like, also in like source of conflict, like I just think there's more variation in the type of stories than there have been in the past, which I think is pretty awesome. This is my least favorite trend in fantasy lately. I don't know. Can I be like, I feel like Tor is just having lower and lower quality, like, physical books. Is anyone else noticing this? I would like Tor to up their game. I feel like Tor used to be kind of the best, and now I kind of feel like Orbit is better in my head. I don't know. I don't read a ton of super new releases. Like, I kind of get to stuff lackadaisically, like, unless it's one of the authors I've already read. I'm not very good at, like, this is a hype new author, read their debut. I have so many stuff I already want to read. It's hard for them to come up to the top of my list. Like, they go on my list, but they don't jump to the top. And then I get to them like 3 years after they come out. So, like, I don't know if I could identify the trends now compared to the trends like 5 years ago. This was not yes to something I said, but that is a good candidate. I mean, bro has a lot of books. Okay, this presumably was to reading Speaking Bones. Thank you, Chatty. Thank you, ZK. Okay, I don't know how to pronounce that as a name. Also, someone I also forgot there was. Are you going to read Bound and the Broken? Probably eventually. Mine is Death Incarnate. Your what? Favorite trope. Okay. Yeah, oh, that's a good answer. That's a good answer. Do you have a classic book TBR list? Not really. I have classics that are on my TBR, but I don't have them as a separate list from like the rest of my TBR. It's just like I'm gonna read and then there were none at some point, but it doesn't have. It's not. I don't like the separate thing for classics. They're just spread on for everyone else. I don't know how to define things as a classic. Sometimes I read something and I'm like is Boy's Life a classic? It's on the shelf in some bookstores as a classic. I don't know. People read it in school apparently. I haven't, so my thoughts on it are going to be pretty underwhelming. I recognize the series, but I forget what book one is. You're all going to hear me type it. Yeah, Priest of Bones by Peter McClellan. I have not read it, so I have no opinion. Thank you, Mac. Top 5 protagonists is a question from Dreamer. This one shouldn't, like, the top 3 is really easy because 1 is Fitz Chivalry Farseer, 2 is Harry Blackstone Copperfield Dresden, 3 is Miles Vorkosigan. So, okay, that top 3, like, then there's a pretty big gap, I would say. And then there's some contenders. We got to consider Hadrian Marlowe from the Sun Eater. We got to consider Kaladin. It's unclear who the Rand al'Thor. I forgot. Yeah, Rand is 4. This question later that I'm just smiling at that we'll get to in a second. Rand is 4, and then who did I just say? I just said Hadrian and someone else. I feel like 5 is probably gonna be Hadrian. Kaladin. And then who else could I consider? Let's turn around and look at my bookshelf. Croaker from Black Company is worth considering. Whoever the protagonist of Live Ship is it Althea? Is it Wintrow? Who knows? But if you are able to pick a protagonist from Live Ship, they probably are second. Is John the protagonist for Song of Ice and Fire? Like, Jaime Lannister could crack this, but I don't think I can make an argument that he's the protagonist. Glokta is probably the protagonist of the first Law trilogy. He's kind of up there. Zaki from Sword of Kaigan's pretty. We're gonna go 1 Fitz Chivalry Farseer. 2, we're just gonna say Althea Vestrit. No, 2 Harry Dresden. 3 Althea Vestrit. No, 3 Miles Vorkosigan. 4 Althea Vestrit. 5 Randall Thor. I think, considering may have had some inspiration, is an extremely low bar, and Rocky has been a fan of Bejeweled for a long time. I'm not going to change your mind because I think this is almost certainly true. Typically, I read before I go to sleep. There's a chair over there that my cat will. It's under a lamp, and my cat will sit on me when I sit on that chair, and I will sit in that chair, and my cat will sit on me, and then I'll try and read for like some amount of time before I go to sleep, and then I'll go to sleep. Sometimes I read during the day, but probably 80% of my reading takes place after like 10 p.m. I used to read on the bus when I went to university, but now I don't do that, so I don't. How much do I need to bench press for you to read Red Rising? This is what I smiled at before. I mean, I'm going to read Red Rising anyways. So, like, I feel like when Red God comes out, I'm going to read the rest of it. But I don't want to read it early and then feel like I have to reread it, because then I get in the trap where I just don't end up. Like, this is what has happened with a couple series. But like, I am excited to read it, so I'm going to read it and time it so I can read Red God like soon after it comes out. So I'm going to say a ridiculously big number and be like, fine, if you bench this, I will read Iron Gold right away. We're going to say like, but I'm going to pick a ridiculously huge number that there's no chance you're going to bench. So I'll say like 385. If you bench 385, I will. But also, if you bench 385, I don't believe you. Why did you lie? I'll read it when it comes out. And stop taking steroids. Regarding that, I remember saying one character was your overwhelming favorite. I guess I can. So I remember after reading it, feel like saying who it was like kind of spoilery. Because it just changes the expectations. And I don't know if I still believe that, but I feel like I should trust the me who thought about it more recently after reading it. Are you in any of the Discords I'm in? If you have Discord, or if you comment on the post on the community that I have asking for questions and ask me there, I can do like the thing where I press spoiler tag and press enter a bunch of times, and I will tell you. 3 best books you've read so far this year. Perhaps this I'm gonna go one per author. This is, I'm gonna have a top 10 list, and the race for one is super close. It's gonna be either one of the 2 Ada Palmer books of Perhaps the Stars or Seven Surrenders, Memory and Dream by Charles DeLint, or one of Mirror Dancer and Memory by Lois McMaster Bejeweled. Are you into any Japanese fantasy? Have I read any Japanese fantasy? I guess Sword of Kaigan probably vaguely relates. I assume this just means any kind of like fantasy where the setting is inspired by Japan, like Japanese history. So Sword of Kaigan would count. Have I read any other Japanese fantasy is an excellent question. I don't know if I have. Sword of Kaigan's awesome though. I don't know. I'll kind of read any fantasy. Top 5 antagonists. I wonder if this is Discord Oliver or another Oliver. Yeah, you just noticed that I'm blocking the copy of Spear Cuts Through Water. There you go. I've got it forward facing, Evie. Got it forward facing just for you, and because it's a completely gorgeous cover. Top 5 antagonists. So I have a video on this where I had to spoiler tag some of the answers because it's a spoiler that they're an antagonist. But I can say what series they're from, and you can probably guess who I'm talking about. One is Kenneth from the Live Ship Traders, by far. I would just like to emphasize that the gap between Kenneth and whoever I decide to put it to, like in 30 seconds, is like the gap between 2 and like 12. Like it's Kenneth by far. I have a video on this. Has 2 changed? Or is it still the Stormlight antagonist? Which is kind of funny because I think generally like antagonist is not the strongest aspect of like the start of Stormlight, but by Rhythm of War, I think it is. And there's the 2 main ones that are the most interesting. One is the one that everyone hates, and one is like the really interesting one. It's the really interesting one, and we're gonna go him too, and then the antagonist of the first Law trilogy. Who I'm not gonna say who it is because it's just directly a spoiler. And Nicodemus from the Dresden Files and Brandon of Your Graph from Tigana. I'm pretty sure I just literally copied the answer I gave in my video and that hasn't changed at all. But I just actually flipped the first Law one with Nicodemus this time by accident. I don't think I agree. And I love my boy Kaladin. I think Robert Jordan has a particular strength of, a 14. I mean, he didn't do all 14 books, but presumably he would have, of an 11 book long character arc. And I think getting to the 5th Stormlight book, like, I think there's a reason Brandon hasn't written an 11 book character arc, because I think Robert Jordan's better than him at that. And man, I love Kaladin. Like, Kaladin is one of my favorite protagonists, but I think Rand's character development is completely insane. Like, he has both negative and positive, believable change in every single novel. And like so the advantage Brandon has is that Kaladin is compelling instantly, and Rand is kind of boring in book 1. I like Rand in book 1, but like, I'll take Kaladin in Way of King. Like, it's not even close. But Rand keeps getting more interesting for the entire series, basically. And I think Kaladin stays at roughly an equal level of interesting with a slight dip in Oathbringer. So I've got to give it to Rand. Sir, you copy my ratings. This is unacceptable. Like, bro, which is impressive because you read faster than me. So I should have to copy your ratings. But no, you copy my rating. The stuff you read first, I have different ratings than you. It's always the stuff I read first where you agree with me. Like, I didn't copy your Malice Hand ratings. Oh, terrible. Okay, yeah, I already acknowledged this. I mean, he just doesn't have a point of view for he's a protagonist. I feel I'm more restrictive in my definition of protagonist. Like, I feel like if you're saying like who's the protagonist, there might be an individual book he's the protagonist of, maybe. But like for the series, I feel it has to be Jon, Tyrion, or Dany are the only 3 people you can make a reasonable case are the protagonist. Yeah. Yeah. And then I feel like even like Arya is more a protagonist than Jaime. That is not a protagonist or antagonist. I don't know the context of this. Am I your favorite boy of all the boys? I can't answer this in case I hurt other people's feelings. True. Oh, you're pleased. Interesting. Why? What do you think of Charles DeLint, Evie? Hi, thank you, Jerry. I appreciate it. Did you get the part where I acted out having a gun to my head and being asked to choose between Robin Hobb and Guy Gavriel K? I think you would enjoy that part. Have you gotten to GGK's Under Heaven duology? I was particularly struck by Bridger from Library Ladder's opinion that the duology did what Ken Liu did in the Dandelion, but GGK did it better. So I have. I don't know if I would call it a duology. I think River of Stars is a standalone novel that takes place in the same world as Under Heaven. I've read them both twice. I think they're brilliant. I don't agree with the opinion that they did what Ken Liu and the Dandelion, but GGK did it better. I think they're doing different but similar-ish things, and I probably like them a pretty similar amount. I think K is a better line-by-line writer. He's also, I think, he's a little bit indulgent, but like he writes a tighter narrative than Ken Liu does, except in Grace of Kings. Ken Liu is a little more indulgent. I do think there is some character and theme of like societal progression and a specific character that there's not anything like that in Under Heaven or Dandelion Dynasty. And to me, that is the heart of what makes the Dandelion Dynasty. And I've never read anything that does it as well as the Dandelion Dynasty. All right. Do you have any? Let's see. Correct. Yes. I mean, he's just the best antagonist. Like, I feel, and I had to mention this in my top antagonist video, that a really good antagonist should have like, there's three things that an antagonist can, like three emotions that can cause. You can be scared of them, you can hate them, and like you can understand them. And usually good antagonists are two of these. It's pretty hard to come up with some word like you feel all three of those very deeply. So like Darth Vader is like intimidating and frightening, and you understand him by the end. I don't know if people really hate Darth Vader. Like, he's not hateable. Umbridge you just hate. Voldemort you kind of just fear. Nicodemus is scary, and I shouldn't say understand. He's just interesting. I like to have an interesting perspective, and he's interesting, and like you're trying to understand his perspective. Like there's the deep desire to understand where he's coming from, like which isn't necessarily the case for like Voldemort. I feel Tenet is all three of those, and I think he's all three of those, and he's like almost better than anyone else at all three of them. It's not even like he compromised, like master of none, but like he's kind of good at all three of these. Like I guess he's not super scary, but at times he's pretty intimidating. I hate that. Like I have the closest I've ever come to throwing a book across the room is Tenet related. And I think he might be the most psychologically complex character I've ever read, like ever. So yeah, understandable. I hate him though. Like the reason he's not my favorite character is just because like I do like to root for characters to a degree, and Tenet sucks. Do you have any new authors? Surely I have to if I check the old TBR. I'm totally blanking on who these people are going to be. But let me just go to Goodreads and have a look. I'm gonna finally read James Islington. I'm gonna read some Burnout Cornwell. So to start the year, we're actually, you know how me and Kyle keep choosing people's TBR. Kyle and Ben are going to choose my TBR for January and February of next year. So I imagine there'll be some new books there, but also I think there's going to be some non-repeat authors. My guess is at least one of them, maybe both of them, will give me a Tchaikovsky book. At least one of them, maybe both of them, will give me a Stephen King book, and they'll both want to give me The Winter King, like book one of the Warlord Chronicles. But I'll read Bernard Cornwell for sure. This is true. This is true. Yeah, and I mean, in fairness, I don't know if the last 4 Wheel of Time books are going to change your mind. Now, 12 is my favorite Rand book. That's rough. Does that mean you stopped at Crossroads of Twilight? That's rough. To read through Crossroads of Twilight and not read Knife of Dreams? That's like climbing up a hill on a hike and then like not going downhill and being like, I'm just going to quit now. Thank you. Vin was very interested while we were building them, and she tried to help. Is there one question you've always wanted to be asked? This one, actually, I don't know. I feel like if I wanted to, I would have just answered it already. Favorite antagonist is Carl. Who's Carl? What book is this from? I don't know. He's back. Are we going back to peer pressuring Pranav into making a YouTube channel? That's a thing, right? That we kind of gave up on because he was busy with school. I think he's still busy with school. Do you have a more stable internet connection now, Pranav? Oh, okay. Yes, that makes sense. She's pleased about seeing that. Okay, yeah, about spear cuts through water being forward facing. Yeah, I mean that's a good idea. I guess I'm not invited because what do I know about Robin Hobb? Whatever. Um, I did not see it. It was the answer was Robin Hobb. Uh, Bro is my biggest fan. Doesn't know my name or what this stream is. Classic. Classic Brian, whose name isn't Brian. Where does I'm not even sure who the villain of Terra Ignota is. Oh, I guess there's one really good one, isn't there? I don't think they'd crack the top 5. You got to beat Brandon of your graph to crack the top 5. I don't think they can quite crack top 5. Thank you, Evie. Okay, is The Lines of Our Song still the best book to start reading GGK with? I think it's still my default suggestion. My only change in opinion since making that video is I think I'd have Tigana even a little bit further down, and I'd have more people. I'd have a brightness long ago. I'd have more people start with that than Tigana. But I do think like if you don't have any preference between any of the settings, and I'm not allowed to like know anything, my default pick is like, yeah, go read The Lines of Our Song. If you want to read Under Heaven, sick. You want to go with A Song for Our Bone, go for it. Great choice as well. Seventh Serantium and Brightness Long Ago and Tigana are also all viable. I'm a little more hesitant about Tigana than the other ones. And then as a fringe pick, you could start with Last Light of the Sun, but it'd be a little weird. I'm glad to be of help. I hate that guy though. Yeah, Pranav's and he copies all my answers. This time he answered first, didn't he? Yeah, but I made the video answering this question first, so he's still copying me. Yeah, it is worth noting there are no literal lines of our song. That's how lions could be better than the Sarantine mosaic if there were actual lions. In fairness, I got annoyed by that. Yeah, I'm interested to see. Mike, I'm gonna guess right now that one of them chooses 11/22/63. I think he's gonna pick 11/22/63, ogres, and the Winter King. No, not the Winter King. He just read something else, and something out of completely left field that I'd never think of if Kyle doesn't beat him to ogres. Or maybe Dogs of War. I don't know. Let's see. She was just stuck on top. I guess. I was thinking that in my head, and I was like, this metaphor doesn't make sense because you don't have any choices. But then I was like, what if there was like, and then I started coming up. I almost made this metaphor needlessly complicated. And then I thought to myself, no one is going to point out the flaw in this. But I was like, what if you had like a teleport button that just like teleported you back from the walk, but like you couldn't teleport to the top of the hill. You could only teleport away. And like you climbed up to the top of the hill and you were like all tired. And then it's like all downhill. And then you press the button and teleported away. But that's a needlessly complicated metaphor, so I didn't say it. Yes, he might pick Dungeon Caller Carl. Good call. Goodbye, sir. Have fun. Might start a blog before channel. Good idea. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's read it. Yeah, he has. Okay, what strengths do you think Vorkoskin Saga has over... Hey, I caught up to chat. What strengths do you think the Vorkoskin Saga has over Bejeweled World of the Five Gods series? I'm trying to figure out which series I'd start first. So, good question. To preface this, I've only read 2 books in the World of the Five Gods, but there's only really 3, and then there's Penric as well. I think they actually read quite differently. They're both very good, and she's very clearly good at similar things, but stylistically, they actually do have quite a bit of variety. Vorkoskin Saga, I think, is funnier, without ever being forced or taking away from the emotional moments, and is generally faster paced and more addicting to read. Like they tend to be pretty close to thriller pace. They tend to have quite a bit of action. And I would say just Miles is a more entertaining, like he's just a funnier protagonist than Kazaril or Ista is. I think the writing is a little bit more straightforward in Vorkosigan. I think it is a little bit more stylized in Curse of the Chalion and World of the Five Gods, and does feel more like the epic fantasy feel. And I think Curse of the Chalion is more methodically paced. I think Curse of the Chalion is an even tighter novel than basically any of the Vorkosigan novels, or like almost all of them, maybe not literally all of them, where it's got like completely ridiculously good setup and payoff, where it feels like every scene is like directly plot relevant, even though the book is very like the conflict is very character driven and not rushed. I actually don't know how she pulled that off. And I would say that's the main difference. Yeah, I would be really interested if he picked the Magicians, because I want to know what side of this that I fall on. My guess is I'll be the boring middle of the pack. But it'd be interesting to see. I think he might be traumatized from picking the Magicians after Kyle roasted it. So yeah. The Mount Mefford is almost right. It's climbing to 7/8 of the height and turning back before you got there. But the prologue of Knife and Dreams is already going downhill. So I don't know about that. But I get what you're saying. I think I like my needlessly complicated teleporter metaphor. Is there a book that was a slog, but the third act completely redeemed it? Probably not, is my initial reaction to that question. I mean, you could have a book that was a slog, but the third act was good. And I like the third act. But it's hard for me to say like 2/3 of the book, me finding like boring, can be justified almost no matter how good the third act is. So like I quite enjoy the third act of Never Let Me Go. But it doesn't redeem the entire book for me. For some people it does. Like there's a bunch of reviews where people are like, yeah, I was kind of bored, but then by the end, like I was crying and it all became worth it. I just don't know if I had that experience. Maybe like Path of Daggers, Winter's Heart. Thing is, I didn't actually find those to be complete slogs, but I can see it. Like Path of Daggers definitely had parts that were sluggish, but also it had a bunch of stuff I really liked. And then the third act, I love it. Like I love the final act of Path of Daggers. This is more first half, second half, I guess. Like, but again, I wouldn't describe it as completely. So I was thinking Reaper's Gale by Steven Erikson, where I like the second half of Reaper's Gale is one of my favorite sections of Malazan Book of the Fallen, and the first half is one of my least favorite. But like, I would never say like that the first half of Reaper's Gale was like a complete slog. I just think it was less interesting than a lot of the rest of Malazan Book of the Fallen. I think this would be hard to happen for me. Absolutely, yeah. I have not. I'm not doing audio on first read, Gary. I don't do audio first reads. We're not doing it. Audio is reread only. I am going to read Dungeon Crawler Carl though, and I haven't read it yet. Jeff Banwin, did he write Annihilation? I think he wrote Annihilation. Yeah, I think we're gonna do Annihilation for the University Book Club at some point next year. So I will be getting to it. Let's see. And you'd be copying me if you like it too. That is true. So, but hey, I can just. This is Hadrian Marlowe has a quote in The Sun Eater, and it's always accuse the enemy of what you are doing. And this is what Pranav does. Like he blatantly copies me, and instead of having to defend himself, he just says I copy him. And that way, like it puts me on the defensive. So this won't happen because I don't just copy you. Only you copy me. He did it like even after reading, like he read Memory and Dream directly after me because of my review of Memory and Dream. And then is like, and gave it like the same, and then is like, no, you copy me. I'm like, no, get out of here. Thank you. What type of headphones do you have? These are Logitech headphones. I got them because they're good for hearing where people are in Counter-Strike. I have a mic in front of me. I'm not using the mic for the headphones. It's not that good. Paul the Bookworm, thank you. I saw this and I will be buying it. Yeah, I mean, so people say this for series all the time, but I just don't like doing audio on first reads because like I just don't. And like people say this for Dresden, but like no, I'm not gonna do it. And I think I've only read one audio where I'm like, I like this as much on audio as I do physically, which was The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. But I still like I'm reading Devils physically first. Like Project Hail Mary is a really good audio. Very glad I read. I just don't engage with books the same way on audio as I do physically. I mean, you say this like no offense, this is just up to me. Like this isn't a negotiation. Like how are you gonna stop me? Is my question. The compromise is that I'll read it once and then I'll reread it on audio at some point. All right. How do you read most fantasy series? Do you binge a trilogy straight through, or do you read multiple series at once? Do you take long breaks? How do you decide what to do? So I used to binge series more. Now I tend to like alternate. I'll usually have 2 or 3 series going on at any one time. Some series I binge. I binged Wheel of Time, which I don't know if my brain could do anymore. And I binged Malazan Book of the Fallen, which was also crazy. I just saw this. I will shout at you. You'll shout at me with capital letters. You won't shout at me if we're talking like with voices. But now I usually don't binge series, but that's partially because a lot of the time, like I've got the University Book Club book, and there's a bunch of standalones and stuff I want to read. So it's hard for me to not make progress on like any other stuff and just read one series for an extended period of time. In like I was on vacation and I binged Workhouse again, but that was kind of a unique thing. Found your channel recently. Welcome. GGK question. I've noticed references to Fionavar in some earlier books, Tiagana and Arbonne. Didn't know to look for them when reading more recent ones. Are they there? They will still be there, but very rarely. Lions, I think, also has a Fionavar reference. I don't remember any in Sarantine, but there might be one. They get progressively less common, and there's more because he starts like the rest of his books mostly take place in the same world, and they'll start being referential to each other more often than they are to the Fionavar tapestry. Obviously, Isabel references Fionavar because it's like a direct continuation, but instead of being in the fantasy world with modern world stuff appearing, it's in our world with fantasy stuff coming into our world. I feel like you're someone who knows their taste super well. Are there any books / authors you are just not interested in trying? Yes. Some of them pique my curiosity at times. I am probably not going to read Empire of the Vampire, Story Diary, but like I just when people post stuff they like quotes they like from it, I dislike them. Like people post like the opening paragraph of like, whoa, what a hook. And I kind of just don't like it at all. And the author made a review for it, and it just seems like stylistically like I'm just going to not like it. So I feel like the author went through this trouble of making this review for it, describing the style. And now if I dislike it, like I can only blame myself. I mean, a lot of, I guess, pure like romance novels I don't have that much of an interest in reading. I would rather there be a good romance with like other stuff going on. And I guess there are like I don't really have any interest in reading like Fourth Wing, I would say. Yeah, I would say there's stuff where I'm like I read the description, I'm like that doesn't sound interesting to me at all. it could always change. Like if people who I know I agree with a lot read it and they describe it in a way where I think I'll like it, I could change my mind. But there are definitely authors who exist who right now my instinct would be that I'll just not read ever. I read the first 3, but I'm planning to read book 4 next month. I want to finish the series next year, but I know I want to take breaks. Are there good breaking points for Wheel of Time? The Wheel of Time books, I feel, tend to be like end pretty strongly. They don't like. I can't. Is there a? I mean, the only cliffhanger is like Crossroads of Twilight, but so I guess read Knife of Dreams directly after Crossroads of Twilight. But most of the books I feel come to a reasonable end to the point where like you could take a break after them. Maybe after Lord of Chaos, you're wanting to go into Crown of Swords right away. I could see that. And I guess, yeah, most of them, I feel like you could take breaks in between most of them. None of them are like as good of a breaking point as you'll see in like the Realm of the Otherlings, where it's like, yeah, take a break after Farseer. But I feel like you take a break in most of the spots. Referenced this already. I'm okay with being shouted at by Derry. I'll live with it. I will see if I agree with you after I read it and then reread it on audio. All right. This is similar to what I'm expecting to think, but who knows? Maybe you're all right. Also, when and how did you start with your very specific rating system? So this was, I'd had a Goodreads for a while, but I didn't update it, and I was adding a bunch of books on Goodreads, and I gave like first I went to Way of Kings, and I gave it 5 stars, and then there were a bunch of other books that I was like Turncoat by Jim Butcher. I want this to be 5 stars, but I also don't want to say that I like it as much as The Way of Kings. So I'm like, I would like to specify that this is not The Way of Kings. I don't like this as much. So I started giving them all decimal point ratings. And I just, if I read something and I'm like, it's kind of halfway in between an 8.5 and a 9, it's like an 8.7. And then I started like a complete psycho. I have like a top books Google Doc where if I read a 4-star book, it goes on the ranking. And that's how I determine its rating. I mean, I could do this if we're still going. We can. I'm kind of curious to see what. Oh, she's gonna record and send you shouty messages. Honestly, I have to admit, if your goal from this is to dissuade me from reading Dungeon Carl physically, you're not succeeding because I kind of want to see this. So yeah, this is having the inverse effect that you were probably going for. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you believe in Alan's comeback, the Renaissance and golden age of Alexandria content that he has promised? I would say like 3. I think Atticus has cast Charm Person on him, and he upcast it as a 9th level spell, and now Alan needs to make a DC 39 Wisdom save to not be charmed by Atticus. And I think him being charmed by Atticus leads to him spending so much time taking care of Atticus that it will be hard for him to have as much content as he did at his content producing peak. The quality shall remain the same as always because Alan is a delight. But I do not believe that he will start posting as frequently as he used to. What series deserves way more hype than it currently has? Terra Ignota by Ada Palmer. Do you like reading new books in a fantasy series as they come out, or do you prefer to wait until it's finished? Do you have a maximum amount of ongoing series that you read? So I would say I do enjoy reading books as they come out. I would rather get in on a series early and be able to go through the experience of like having the book come out and then sitting on that book and then having another book come out. You do the downside is obviously you have to wait, and sometimes you get a longer wait than expected. And I do find people are more reactionary that the latest book will just be the status quo forever in terms of quality than they are if they're binging a series. So like some people love the first 3 Stormlight books and then don't like Rhythm of War as much. And now they're like, now I'm just going to not like the rest of the Stormlight books. On the other hand, like I've seen people love the first 3 Malazan Book of the Fallen books and then not like House of Chains as much. And they don't go, oh, I'm going to not like the next, like the second half of the series. They just start reading Midnight Tides because you don't have to sit on it for like 3 or 4 years. But I'm okay with that. And I think I'm reasonably good at not being overreactionary. Yeah, I mean, we can send her the stream here. Like, I would also like to hear the shouting messages. Overrated books. The concept of overrated books is overrated. Rawr. I disagree with the premise of books being overrated because I believe that if the word overrated self-evidently means something is rated too high. So for something like can be overrated, if I think a basketball player is overrated, that means I think there are a bunch of people who have a perception of how much this person contributed to winning games, and that in reality, those people are wrong, and that the person actually in reality contributed less than that. So I think for something to be overrated, the people rating it too high have to be wrong. And I would never say someone is wrong to enjoy a book or rate a book some specific amount. So yeah, I disagree with the premise that the word overrated makes sense to describe a novel. Let's see them. Yeah, I'm really curious when it's going to take place in France. Like, we know it's France-based, but it could be like the Napoleonic era, which would be interesting. It could be like Charlemagne. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Please share them in Discord. We want to see that. What is a special edition of a book you've always wanted to own? Mine is the Dark Harvest edition of Swan Song. I'd like the Farsi or Subterranean Press editions. I feel like a lot of it's more I want special editions to exist of some books, and they don't. Is the problem I have. But that would be like the ones that I want the most. I'm glad people aren't mad at me for not wanting to read Empire of the Vampire. Guilty pleasures. So the funny thing is, I don't have this as much for books. For like I've definitely enjoyed TV shows where I'm just like, this is not very good, and I'm like I randomly binged like a couple years ago like 2 seasons of Gotham, the TV show, and like every episode I was like, that's a plot hole, or like that doesn't make any sense. This is ridiculous, but I was just enjoying it. I don't find that tends to happen as much for books, so I'm gonna not answer. Are there any books on your TBR from before the year 2000? Probably like half of them, I would guess. I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna read. Yeah, Warlord Chronicles is before 2000. For the rest of the year, I'm gonna read And Then There Were None. That's way before 2000. When did George Martin write The Ice Dragon? I don't know. I don't know, like a lot of them. Probably not half. Probably like 25% of them. Which author's attempt at humor does not work for you? I find a lot of things funny. Like if someone is every attempt at humor they have, I think isn't funny and they keep trying, I probably would stop reading them. Maybe like Brent Weeks. I don't know if I found his book particularly funny, and I think he's like trying to be funny at times. I mean, some Sanderson wordplay stuff, but I also think some Sanderson stuff is very funny. Like I think Pattern is very funny. I don't know. I'll go Brent Weeks. Ranking of the Sun Eater series. Would you recommend binging the series? I mean, you don't need to binge it. There are pretty large time skips between every book except books 4 and 5. So it's definitely one that kind of makes sense that you can take breaks between. My ranking would be Demon in White, Disquiet Gods, Kingdoms of Death, Howling Dark, Ashes of Man, Empire of Silence. I'm gonna go tattle on you to Alan. He'll, I think, just agree with me that Atticus is cast charm personal. It's a DC 39 wisdom save. It's tough, man. Like Atticus, he has a special ability to cast 9th level charm person on his 2 parents. I think like most babies have that ability. So, hey, I mean, I'll be happy if it happens because it'll mean there's more Alan content. I'm just being honest. I don't think it will happen. Only that you'll regret not audioing first. I don't think I will regret not audioing first because even if I think the audio is better, I enjoy rereads just as much as I do first reads. Do you have high expectations for the second arc of Stormlight? Do you think this arc will be better? Will the Cosmere peak with Wind and Truth? I would say I have high expectations for the second arc of Stormlight. I think a lot of the flashback characters sound pretty fascinating. I think it's I mean, the Cosmere might peak with Words of Radiance, right? Like, you don't know. Words of Radiance is still my favorite Sanderson book. I have read the first 2 parts of Wind and Truth because I got like the NetGalley arc for the first 2 parts. It's pretty damn incredible. I've talked about this on Discord for some people. I do think there has been a very like slight shift in style in his writing style, and I think I slightly prefer his writing style from Words of Radiance. But Wind and Truth still could end up being my favorite because the events so far are completely bonkers. But I would say because there has been a slight shift in writing style, I think it's probably more likely that I'll like the first arc slightly more. But I like still, if my average score for the second arc was like a 9.3, that would be pretty disappointing on the scale of Stormlight because it's just such a high standard for me. Favorite games and TV shows. So games, I play the same few games over and over. My favorite games is the Mass Effect series. I can call it all one game, the Legendary Edition now. And actually, I play a ton of Mass Effect 3 multiplayer randomly, which is like a horde mode game, kind of an afterthought that they kept releasing free DLC for. It is incredibly fun. Counter-Strike, I have like 2,500 hours in CSGO. I love the Total War games. I would say Warhammer 2 and Rome 1 are my 2 favorite Total War games. And Call of Duty Black Ops Zombies specifically. Oh, have the books? I mean, I was born in 1999. So, I mean, technically, it wouldn't have to be before I was born, but I would have had to have, I would have been like 6 months old when the new year started. So I would have had to have a book on my TBR from the age of like 5 or 6 months to now. So that has not happened. I procrastinate. I don't procrastinate that much. Perdido State Station 25. I think. I think we might do that for the book club. Top 3 books and characters in Wheel of Time. Books: The Gathering Storm, Knife of Dreams, Lord of Chaos. Characters: Rand al'Thor, Matt Coffin, Nynaeve T. Almera. What fantasy sci-fi series would you most want to be adapted? The Sarantine Mosaic by Guy Gavriel Kay. I have a video on this, and I don't think my answer has changed, although a long Vorkoskin TV show would be pretty cool, and I hadn't read Vorkoskin at the time. But I want it'd be like 2 seasons, Sarantine Mosaic, and then like after, if it was a hit, you could do like a season of The Lines of Our Song. You could do a bunch of the other GGK standalones. They would not require a huge budget. They just like the dialogue would work so well. Like a bunch of people since I've said this have read the Sarantine, been like Jimmy, when he was like, it would be a great series. I'm like, that's what I've been saying. Second is I'd love a Live Ship Traders adaptation specifically. I think Realm of the Elderlings in total would be quite a struggle, but I think Live Ship on its own would be a wonderful adaptation. How would your favorite or the best books in Wheel of Time compare to your favorite Stormlight books, like Words of Radiance? The Gathering Storm is very close. The Gathering Storm is one of my favorite books of all time. Yes, something Bill Clinton insulting the camera quality, which is fair. It's a cheap ass camera. I just like when I first started, I bought it on Amazon, like webcam, and it wasn't expensive. So yeah, the video quality. Bill Clinton is, Bill Clinton here has a point. So, it's a strange comment. Yeah, The Gathering Storm is one of my favorite books of all time. I probably like Words of Radiance more than I like The Gathering Storm, but I would take The Gathering Storm over any other Stormlight book. Knife of Dreams would be pretty close. I'd probably like if I were to take all 4 Stormlight books with like my top 4 Wheel of Time books, I'd rank them Words of Radiance, The Gathering Storm, The Way of Kings, Knife of Dreams, Rhythm of War, Oathbringer, Lord of Chaos. And then like A Memory of Light. So neither have a 10. So, because Words of Radiance I have at 9.9. So A Wheel of Time 10 and a Stormlight 10 are both hypotheticals that do not at this point exist. I'm very stingy about my 10 out of 10s. Did I catch up to chat? This is a miracle. You guys need to ask me more questions. You've do I don't have any more questions on this. Have I caught up? Am I free? Is it gonna be an hour and 10? Am I gonna ditch you all? When are you going to give Vin a sibling? So this is Vin hates other cats is the problem. I would love to get another cat because I feel guilty when I go to work and Vin is here on her own. The problem, yeah, Vin hates other animals. She hates dogs too. She got along with Sadie. So when we got Vin, we had a dog named Sadie, who's the best dog ever. And she got along, but every other animal she's ever met, she's hated. And I just don't have enough room for a dog. I live in an apartment. It doesn't have a yard. I would love to have a dog. I love dogs. I feel that I'm not going to get a dog until I have a yard. So I need to go make some more money to be able to have a house. And then I had Memory of Light as my 4th favorite Wheel of Time book. So yeah, that's why Vin is not getting a sibling. Because she hates them. Best character and season of Lost. I mean, probably season 1. Maybe season 2? I don't remember the seasons that well. Yeah, 1. And favorite character is tough. Geez, favorite character. I just went through them in my head and I'm like, all of them? Can I go Desmond? I want to make Desmond. Not Penny's Boat, 4, 8, 50, and 60, and 23, 42. See you in another life, brother. Yeah, let's go Desmond. Is that even his name? Did I get it right? Whatever. I am currently rereading Rhythm of War by Brandon Sanderson in preparation for Wind and Truth. No. I don't accept this premise, and I think all of them would be worse if they lost 250 pages. Low soft fantasy setting versus high epic fantasy. I would say I probably slightly prefer high epic fantasy. Like, both my favorite authors don't write super epic fantasy stuff, but that's just because they're good enough that they can get away with it. I think if Kay did write higher magic stuff, like he wrote the Fionavar, but he wasn't as good when he wrote the Fionavar. Every time he writes more magic, I'm like, this is so good. Yeah. What other books did you consider for me to read? I probably have a Google Doc on this. I think I was sorting through as I wrote it down. Let's see if I remember. I definitely considered giving you Curse of the Chalion. What books did I even give you? Did I write this down? I didn't know what to pick for you. You're so much harder to pick for than Kyle. Lost is awesome. One in Hurley is valid. Hurley's pretty great. I guess he's also relevant for 4, 8, 15, 16, 23, 42. The people who haven't lost watch are probably so confused why I'm saying 4, 8, 15, 16, 23, 42. Thank you. I was quite happy with it. No, I probably won't read it in a day. My brain isn't as fast as it used to be. I'm washed up. So it's probably going to take me more than a day, would be my guess. Will I post a review for it? Probably, yes. You got to put in those numbers. How long was it? It was like 100 and something minutes. How often did you have to put in the numbers? I forget. 108 minutes. Yeah. Yeah, Dare, you don't know about the numbers that you have to put in every 108 minutes or the world ends? That's such a Lost Mysteries were so good. Like, they were wild. Can I spoil Lost? Does anyone care? It's Lost. I feel like if you haven't watched Lost at this point, it's kind of your fault. Is that bad? Yeah, we called him Smoky Loophole in our family. That's what we referred to as his name. The sound of the Smoky Loophole was so great. Gotta love Smoky Loophole. Oh, this person asked for favorite games and TV shows. I only said games. So my favorite TV shows are Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul are definitely up there. Game of Thrones is up there, even though I was, even when it came out, reasonably low already on season 6 and 5. But the first 4 seasons are so good that I just, whatever. Shogun is 1 season, but it might be the best season of television I've ever watched, so that's got to be up there. I'm a pretty big fan of Doctor Who, even though, like, average quality wise, I think it's quite a bit lower than all the other, like, shows that I just said. But just for a premise in totality, I would say it's one of my favorite TV shows. What other shows do I like? Those are probably the big ones. Sure. So the premise for Desmond and the random numbers is, so obviously they're stuck on this island that's got a bunch of mysterious stuff going on, and they find this like hatch. And they spend a bunch of time trying to like get into it. Eventually they blow it open with dynamite. They climb down and they find a guy who's been living there for years, who's says that you have to put in this set of numbers on this computer every 108 minutes or the world will end. Celtics beat OKC Thunder in 6. A competitive 6-game series between the Celtics. I mean, that's not a risky prediction, but I just think those are the 2 best teams this year. I am not necessarily cheering for either of them, but I think objectively it's hard to make a legit case that any team is better than Boston or OKC. I mean, OKC, like, I think they're going to win 60 games pretty comfortably. I'm very high on Alex Caruso. They were Isaiah Hartenstein's really good, and they were already ridiculously good. And you expect they're all 3 of their, like, or at least 2 of the 3 of their 3 best players, maybe all 3, to be better this year than last year based on age curve. Like, I would expect J-Dub, Chet, and Shea, or at least Chet and J-Dub, to be better than last year. Like, you know, that's a pretty ridiculous team. And then the Celtics obviously are insane as well. Derek White is like their 5th best player, which is pretty unreasonable. I would like to take the under on Bronny James MVPs. Although I feel like I'm a Bronny defender because Bronny was getting so much crap for like not being good. He's the 55th pick overall. Like, who was the 56th pick overall? How's that guy been doing? Like, because if you're saying like they shouldn't have picked him, it's like, okay, this is the person they would have picked up. Let's check how the Let's see if let's see who was the 56th pick and what they're doing. The 56 picks. The Suns drafted Kevin McCullough Jr. and traded him to the Knicks. Let's see if he's played any minutes. He has. I don't think he's played any minutes. He's played no minutes. So there you go. That's who they could have gotten instead. Who else could they have gotten? They could have gotten Ulrich Chomsky, who the Grizzlies drafted and then traded to the Raptors via the Timberwolves. Has he played any minutes? Don't think he has. So let's check this better. I know we're randomly checking basketball stats on this book Q&A, but I just look at that. Ulrich Chomsky has played minutes. He played 5 minutes, and I think he got a point. Oh, look at that. He got a point. He made a field goal. That's a field goal that the Lakers could have had if they hadn't drafted Bronny James. What frauds. Except also the team that drafted this team just traded him anyways. So whatever. And then Ariel Hukporti. Look at that. He's played 2 games. He's played 6 minutes. And he averaged 0 points and 2.5 rebounds for those games. And he had 1.5 blocks, half the turnover, and half a foul. That's an eventful 5 minutes. Okay, this is wrong. I mean, that's fine, but the flashbacks are okay. The Rhythm of War flashbacks are mid. I'll grant you that. Every time I reread them, the flashbacks are better. I'm legitimately at the point where I think the flashbacks might be my favorite part of Way of Kings. It makes no sense. It keeps happening. It's a problem. It's just wild to be like, you could cut 250 pages from the flashbacks and it just wouldn't change the books at all. Like, I get that you might not like them, but like, obviously that would impact the book massively. Because you got offended by it. Have I ever DNF'd a book because I was offended by it? I mean, I haven't DNF'd that many things. So probably no. I don't think so. I think everything I've DNF'd I just haven't liked. Welcome back. I'd love to say you missed some very important things, but I don't think you have. I caught up to chat again, despite wasting 5 minutes looking at the stats of random NBA rookies, just because I think it's just wild that it's like, people were acting like they picked Bronny James like 7th overall. It's like, yeah, he's the 55th pick. Like, yeah, he probably won't be a good NBA player, but most 55th picks aren't good NBA players. So, like, the just expected value, like, it's literally worth a 55th overall pick just to make LeBron James a little bit happier. That being said, I don't like the Lakers at all, and I hope they lose every game from here on out. So if he's terrible, that's good for me. But, whatever. Okay, I think we've caught up to chat. It's an hour and 24 minutes. I think that's a reasonable length for the Q&A. Yeah, that's my fault. You know what? That's not my fault. You guys asked sports things and ran out of book questions. So I think this might be a sign to wrap up. I think someone has about 15 seconds to ask me a question before I decide that I've just answered all the questions you guys had. Did we learn anything? Maybe. Soccer or basketball, completely valid opinion. Hockey over both, but that's okay. Go Canucks. Wait. Okay. I'm waiting. I'm waiting, Evie. It's true. Frodo. Yeah, I'll go Frodo. I'm gonna go Frodo because I actually think I just like the Lord of the Rings more than the Hobbit, and I think I did not give Frodo enough credit the first time I read it, and I think the Scouring of the Shire is one of my favorite chapters of the Lord of the Rings, and it's like I just find Frodo's journey of like succeeding at saving the world, but failing his own personal battle at giving up the ring. Yes, I'm spoiling Lord of the Rings. In my opinion, the things that are free for spoilers are Star Wars, Harry Potter, and Lord of the Rings. I find that more impactful than Bilbo's, even though I think Bilbo is a more fun character. I was doing Lord of the Rings on audio, the Andy Serkis audio, and Gandalf was telling Frodo about the ring, and I noticed on this time on Reddit how he specifically is like the fact that Bilbo successfully gave it up is one of the reasons he's confident that Bilbo will recover from the like I guess spiritual damage that the ring caused him. And obviously, like Frodo doesn't like voluntarily give it up; he fails at that, which is one of the reasons he's ends up being scarred irreparably and has to leave the Shire. Yeah, so I'll go Frodo. I also like the part where he's sassy towards the elf, who's like, do not meddle in the affairs of wizards, for they are subtle and quick to anger. And he's like, they also say, do not go to the elves for advice, for they will say both yes and no. This chapter is Greyhaven's and Mount Doom erasure. But if you think it's a choice that I will accept. And Pelennor Field's pretty dope as well. There's a lot of really good chapters in Lord of the Rings. Scouring of the Shire, I think, is among the best chapters in Lord of the Rings. Mount Doom is my favorite chapter in Lord of the Rings. Which is Samwise being absolutely the GOAT. Are there 3 or 4 fantasy series that you would definitely recommend to people getting into fantasy? I would say no, because I would want to know what type of other pieces of media that person is a fan of, and the fantasy series I would recommend would depend on what they find interesting generally and in other pieces of media or books, like especially if they're a reader who just hasn't read fantasy, or if they're someone who doesn't read very often. So I don't know if there are ones that I would like mass recommend. Which book got you the most emotional? Probably Assassin's Fate by Robin Hobb. Not the most creative answer. Maybe Fool's Errand by Robin Hobb? One of the Robin Hobb books. True. I feel like pre-internet, he was overrated. And then people started having the like, wait, actually, Sam is the real like GOAT character. And like Sam was underrated. And now Sam is properly, people have like, Sam gets his flowers. And now people have forgotten that like, that Frodo still was main character. When are you going to try reading Titus Grown and reading it correctly this time? I have no idea. I think I am going to try it at some point, but I feel that I should not force it, and that I should oh yeah, there was a question about this that I missed. That I should read it again when I feel excited to read it. So I need a hype train to be started of some kind. So, what are your thoughts on reading from a mass market paperback versus other formats? So, I like books that stay open. So, I prefer reading from floppy trade paperbacks or hardcovers. But Mass market paperbacks are awesome because they're more transportable. Like some of them literally can fit in my back pocket, which like, you know, is not going to happen if I'm reading from like this illustrated Royal Assassin. But if I'm reading at home, I really like that I can just like open this and I don't have to hold it open as I'm reading, compared to if I'm reading a mass market paperback, which is the nearest mass market paperback in Greek, like Malazan. Which like, you know, especially like to get to like the words on the inside here is sometimes annoying. So they are nice for transportability, but when I'm reading at home, I definitely do prefer trade paperbacks. This is true. I can't lie. This is true. If we push for societal change to give women pockets that are big enough to fit mass market paperbacks, I will fully support that. Elect me as Emperor of Earth, and I will make it so pants. There are pants available for women that want pockets that can fit mass market paperbacks. Do you get post-series depression? I actually don't think I do. I know this is a pretty common thing that happens. I usually kind of have post-series fulfillment where I feel happy about having like gotten to the like I think nothing quite hits like finishing a really long series. This is partially because I think I love rereading good series almost as much as I love reading them for the first time. And I actually am excited that in the future, like I can read it again and that I like got to the end of the story and like I completed it and now I can like don't have to worry about spoilers or anything. So maybe like very minorly, but not as a significant problem. Let's see. Back pocket. Okay. All right. This is step 2 on my plan of becoming Emperor of Earth. All right. I would vote for you, Emperor. Thank you. That I have 2 votes. 2 down. I guess I need a majority, so I don't need like was it 9 billion? I need like 2 down, like 4. What is the population of Earth these days? It's like 8.2. So I need a 4.1 billion minus 2. So 4,999,999,998 to go. Although I guess I need 4.1 billion and 1. So actually N99. Malazan some of the most crazy epic moments that I've ever read or experienced in any medium of fiction. Is it more philosophical than those other 2 series? Yes. It is also completely crazily epic and batshit insane in a truly crazy amount of ways. It would like if someone specifically wanted to read a series and like they were like, I want to experience the feeling of epicness. Malazan has a very good case for my number 1 pick. Hey, 3 votes. So now the 98 number was correct. Let's go. And hey, if we think about it, there has to be like a voting age for Emperor, right? So how many people would actually, and you know, voter turnout in the election for Emperor is probably not going to be that high. So, you know, I might only need like another 3 billion votes to be Emperor. And then mass market papers back book-sized pockets for everyone. That's the platform I'm running on. I hope you're also okay with me genociding the wasps because I hate wasps with a fiery passion. And I know it might have like a bunch of other side effects and consequences on the ecosystem, but I think as an experiment, it's good to know what those are so we can know whether killing all the wasps was worth it. Top 3 Malazan books. Pull the Hounds is my favorite. Then Midnight Tides, which is book 5, and then The Crippled God. Does Wheel of Time have Oh, actually, Lord of the Rings might be the pick for epicness. Battle of Pelennor Fields level epicness. I would say, I mean, it's hard to be as epic as Pelennor Fields, but Wheel of Time would be one of the series that has insanely crazy epic battles that are kind of vaguely on that level, like Dumai's Wells. How often? Probably like not. I mean, maybe like four or five of them. Wasps are a-holes. They are. They're just Daleks, basically. Yeah. What is the best cold food? Ice cream. This might be a question of like, what's a food that normally you'd want hot that's still like perfectly acceptable cold, which is a much harder question. I feel like it's mostly like sandwiches. Like they're better if you toast them and heat them. Like, you know, sandwiches can still be good cold, but it's ice cream. Yeah, I mean, I hate them both. I actually hate wasps even more. Mosquitoes objectively kill more people, and are objectively a bigger problem. This is my case why I think wasps are more evil, though, in terms of like process. Mosquitoes, when I get a mosquito bite, it sucks. I understand where that mosquito is coming from. Like, bro just needed to eat. Not say bro, because I hate them. But they were just trying to live, right? And they need my blood to live, which is extremely annoying. But I get what they're getting out of this. Wasps, on the other hand, they just hate everything that isn't themselves. They don't get anything from stinging me. They just want to cause suffering. Wipe them out. Sherbet, I feel like, is just less creamy ice cream. I'm going to say my two favorite types of ice cream is if it's salted caramel or pistachio gelato, or like, I guess American style chocolate peanut butter. Because I feel like the gelato, you don't want like, there's no like chunks in it. So if it's just like the smoother gelato texture, I think salted caramel and pistachio are my two favorites. But if you can have like the peanut butter chunks in the chocolate, that's good stuff. Have I ever been to Ireland? I have not. I don't know, like not sherbet or gelato. If you buy Ben and Jerry's ice cream, that's that type of style. Or is Haagen-Dazs German? Is German? I don't know. Not gelato or sherbet. Normal. I don't know. I didn't know how to describe it. Whatever. Leave me alone. One of my favorite things to cook, probably homemade pizza is my favorite thing to cook. It lacks nutritional value to a large degree. Yeah, and I know this is why mosquitoes are objectively worse, right? Like for humans, they kill way more people than wasps do and cause more harm. And if I actually, like they actually, like if the getting rid of would arguably be would be more beneficial for like humanity. And I think other animals get like malaria and disease for them as well. I just have a personal more hatred for wasps. The same way, like, you know, Voldemort is worse than Umbridge, but I hate Umbridge more. It's so good. Yeah. Have I attempted to contact GGK? I haven't. I have not had the. Yeah. I haven't seen them do enough interviews on channels to make me believe that it would work. We were all deeply upset with you because the expectation is that you would be on time, 1 p.m. PST, 5 minutes early even. Glad to see you though. You're probably, I don't know how much longer this is gonna go, but you might have new questions. Maybe we'll get new people and the stream will get a second wind. But we've had about 20 people for most of the time watching. That is true. You do have the one singular Simon Jimenez interview. I did shoot my shot with Jim Butcher. I succeeded. Yeah, I definitely like. I could go. I mean, GGK Bujold's kind of retired or semi-retired. She's not retired from writing, but she's kind of said that she's kind of retired from marketing. And and like public appearances. I could ask GGK. Especially he's got a book coming up. Well, the worst thing they could say is actually a very mean way of saying no, but it's very unlikely they say that. These are new bookshelves behind me, and they are glorious, I must say. They're floating bookshelves that the family helped me put up. And like they go. Whee. Oh, I didn't see that question, Evie. But I'm gonna read that poetry collection probably in 2025. Oh, there it is. I missed that. Probably 2025. I mean, I don't think he does, but it would be cool. I think Hobb actually lives closer to me than GGK does, because I think she's in Seattle, which there's a border in between me and Robin Hobb. But I think Kay lives closer to the East Coast, which is like quite far for people who don't know how big North America is. Steven Erickson's also, I think, reasonably close. I think he lives in like Victoria. Stop what? Saying that is this from me saying that Robin Hobb is closer? I mean, there's like a border in between me and Rob. And I mean, it's not like I'm gonna go be like, oh, hi, Robin Hobb, I'm a big fan, because that would be how an insane person acts. And would be unduly stressful for any author. Yeah. Okay, now an hour and 41. Every time I bring up that Robin Hobb is not allowed to be close enough. She's semi-retired as well, though. But she's gonna be at Dragonsteel, which I'm gonna go to. So that was so exciting. I was going to Dragonsteel before I knew that. It's like announcing the author list. And I saw Fonda Lee first, and I was like, oh, Fonda Lee, that's awesome. That's really exciting. And then Robin Hobb. And I'm like, what? What's a series you've completed but wished you DNF'd? I feel like none of them. Like once I put in the work to read something, I'm kind of happy to know that I didn't like it. But probably should have DNF'd as a child, Throne of Glass earlier. But I didn't finish that series. I caught up. Like I'd read the latest book, which is 5 at the time. And that's where I learned that DNFing is okay. At the age of like, I don't know. I guess I can figure this out based on when Empire of Storms came out. Okay, so that came out in 2016. So I would have been like 17, I guess. Huh. Can't believe I had to. Yeah, no, I think I read the early ones earlier, and then that came out, and I was like, I don't like this anymore. That's good, because I've already done this once. We're going for a second time. I'm deciding which ones to get signed. We're gonna go some Royal Assassin. See, I might bring Forest Mage just to try and be cool. To be like, yeah, I've also read Soldier Son, you know. They're gonna be really sporadic. It's gonna be awesome. Maybe like twice a month. There's a wrap up, and then I try and come up with something else. Although I haven't really done anything for October, so bro, fit in the new S.A. Corey book title here. They were all the rage. There is no interviewing Hobb. It's not happening. I would probably spontaneously combust if it did happen. So this would be a good way to accidentally kill me. Which I don't want to spontaneously combust. So that's a little dangerous for that to happen. You know? Yeah, I don't own a copy, but Trying to figure out if I can. Cloven hooves. Wonder how readily available is this book? If I search on Abe Books, Cloven Hooves by Megan Lindholm, does something come up? Derry would be happy for me. She would never actually kill me. She's too nice. Yeah. Because also I mean, I don't want to be the person who's like, if there wasn't a limit, I just show up with all the Realm of the Elderlings books. Be like, hey, could you sign like all of these maybe? Or like when I went to the K thing, been like, hey, can you just like sign all of them? It just feels, I feel like 2 or 3 is the limit. Is kind of my thought. All right. I think we're actually gonna end things. Thank you everyone for participating in the chat and the congratulations. Yay for 3K subs. I do these because it's what people have asked for after 1K and 3K. I'm kind of like, if people want to ask me a question, they can just ask me on Discord. But I guess if you want a voice answer, and if you want me to answer in front of other people so I can feel peer pressure, so I can be peer pressured into agreeing with you, then you can ask me here. Good questions, everybody. I'm gonna head out. Wish me luck in my hockey game today. Yes, I know. Yesterday there were like, so for Counter-Strike, there's a Counter-Strike player, Simple, and he's making like his comeback after a year off, and he lost, and then 2 UFC fighters who I cheer for lost in pretty bad fashion, and then the Nuggets lost, and I was feeling not great about general sports competition people that I cheer for. The Canucks did win, which saved me. And I was tired yesterday because I gave blood yesterday, so I was all lethargic and tired, and I was just like, I just need a win from these people, man. And everyone let me down except the Canucks. I would say not great. I am pretty good at. I am actually pretty hard to peer pressure. That is true. I tend to be pretty good at not getting peer pressured, but people want to try. So that's I am. Do you wanna come on here and shout at me? I can send you the StreamYard link if you want to shout at me. And everyone, I'm sure, would actually really like to see that. It would probably get me more views, and I might get to 4K subs because I can post the clip of the short of you shouting at me. So just saying. It's up to you. You can make a video where you call me out. Okay. Let's guests. Now I forget how to invite people to these once it's already started. Invite. Duh. All right. Well, you'll probably do it on audio, so you won't get yelled at. I wasn't getting yelled at for not reading Dungeon Crawler Carl. It's for refusing to do it on audio for my first read, and that I'm going to read it physically. But I'm going to. Oh, my game is not for a long time. It's like a night game. It's in like 7 hours. So, if Derry yells at me for 7 hours, I guess I need to have dinner at some time before that. So let's say like an hour to cook and eat dinner. So let's say like she can yell at me for like a good 6 hours, and we still have time. But yeah, you'll do it on audio, so you won't get yelled at to the same degree. I believe so. We're finding out. The link has been sent. I imagine StreamYard is being opened, and she should appear in the studio on the bottom left reasonably shortly. So, you know what? We'll find out. I think I might score. You know, I haven't scored. I didn't play hockey for like 6 years, and when I played, and now I'm a very like stay-at-home defenseman. So I've scored a goal in a long time, and I think we might break that streak. Will you read The Wandering Inn? I think so. I don't know that much about it, but it sounds familiar. I don't know. Maybe. What book are you most excited to reread that you haven't reread yet? Fool's Assassin by Robin Hobb. Stay-at-home defense means a defenseman who primarily prioritizes playing defense and not like going up and trying to score. Yeah, I think for reread, I think for yes, very much so. I've kind of got 3 big series that I haven't started, and those are Wars of Light and Shadow. I've started The Expanse, but I only read 1 book, and Shadows of the Apt by Adrian Tchaikovsky. And I'm quite interested in all 3, and I don't know which one I'm going to read next. But yeah, I'm definitely going to read Wars of Light and Shadow at some point. Still no dairy. Maybe she's preparing to shout at me. Or maybe she's simply too nice and, you know, isn't about that shouting at me life. Yeah, there's just a lot of them. But yeah, stay-at-home is just like, you know, I don't rush up the ice and try and score very much. Okay, we got 2 votes for Shadows of the Apt. Any votes for Expanse or Wars of Light and Shadow? If we scroll all the way to the top, I'm sure if Johanna was still here, she would say Wars of Light and Shadow. So that's it. She can have an honorary vote. There's Oliver. This is Discord Oliver, right? Like, same Oliver, I presume. Mayhaps. Him voting Expanse is evidence that it is the same Oliver. I think it's the same Oliver. He had a comment earlier. Get a profile picture, bruh, and make it the same as your Discord profile. You shall never know. That's exactly what Discord Oliver would say. It's 100% the same Oliver. I don't think Derry's coming on to shout at me. I think unless technical difficulties happens, I don't think StreamYard takes. Maybe a mic's being set up. There hasn't been any comments. Okay, so Anitha is voting for Shadows of the Apt and Expanse. So Wars of Light and Shadow it is. I mean, influencer and cause more people to read it. Yeah, I mean, it's obviously the most dense of the 3, is what I'm expecting. But that's okay. I'll be fine. All right, I think right now we are at 1 hour and 53 minutes. I'm cutting this off at 2 hours, even if there are still questions. Unless Derry's mid-monologue about why I'm wrong and bad. I mean, one could argue that when she posted this, she was betraying Daniel Abraham. So, you know, it's kind of tough. Betrayal is timeless. Durfee said it. Okay. First vote is for Apt. That could be an interesting interesting collab. I think she could just make a video and just yelling at Jake for doing it and could just upload it. That way she gets the views. No, I was going against your vote, not against Anita's vote. I was going to do whichever one you were voting against. Primarily. That was the primary goal. The secondary goal was, I don't know. I don't even know which one I'm going to do first. I was lying. So that's the key detail here that is really important you don't miss out on. Yeah. All right, this is what we're going to do. For chaos for the last 5 minutes, we're just going to put the invite in the chat. Oh, we're trying. We're trying. I was going to just put the invite to the stream in the chat and just see what chaos ensues. Should I do? Is that A, good idea, or B, a bad idea? Should we let Derry yell at me first before I do that? Oh, okay. Another day I'll shout at you. Okay. If there's let chaos ensue for like the next 5 minutes or something. I want to say the funniest comment of this entire stream, see if I can find it, was the random out of nowhere Bill Clinton, this stream looks like it was from like before 2000. I wonder if he's still here, lurking in chat. All right, so that's aggressive. This is from the person who was saying you could just cut the stormlight flashbacks without missing out on anything. Like, all right, let's calm down here a little bit. Like, but also don't hate Lord of Chaos. That would be rude to me as well, and that would make me sad. Lord of Chaos is awesome. Oh, we have a wild Eevee has appeared.
Hello.
Hi.
Not intended, but you know, wearing this shirt today.
Is that Fix's?
I can never say it.
Yeah, I can't either. But it's on my water bottle.
Nice.
So now you guys can ask Eevee things, and we can peer pressure her into answer. Oh, here we go. I mean, I can be yelled at.
My laptop literally unfroze as you sent the link. So yeah. You just have to listen to Dungeon Crawler Carl. You just have to. It's so good. Like, seriously. It's insanely good.
I'm gonna take this as you yelling at me too, because you've been yelling at me to listen to it too.
But just like the awesomeness of James Masters doing Dresden when the production quality gets good is like nothing compared to how amazing Dungeon Crawler Carl is on audio.
What if I told you
voices are insane?
What if I told you that I will listen to it? I'll just read it first.
Only if you do that per individual book, not for the whole series.
Wait,
don't you dare read the whole series before you listen to a book. Read book one and then listen to book one.
I'm gonna read the whole series and then listen to bullshit.
No, that's not how you do it, Jake. It's not. It's not. It just isn't. I will not be okay with that.
Listen, don't tell Derry, but that's exactly what I'm gonna do.
I'm gonna be so cross with you, Jake. So
develop.
You just have to.
Jake, just develop temporary deafness and use that as your excuse. I'm like, I can't listen to audiobooks.
Don't encourage him.
Dungeon Crawler Carl.
Don't encourage him, Evie. Why would you do that?
I do not need to retreat behind these excuses. I shall acknowledge that I heard the instructions and just not listen to them anyway.
I can't even right now. Jake, you have to listen to them. I know you audiobook. Why? Why would you fight me on this? Why?
I don't audiobook for first reads, like ever.
Yeah, I don't normally either. Like, at all, ever. And I don't even remember why I did for this one, but holy crap, it was worth it.
Well, it'll be a great reread experience then.
Okay, you know how you do live ships, don't skip live ships?
Yeah.
because it helps with your experience of reading and you get more out of it. And that should be your first experience of the series.
I do not accept that this is the equivalent to.
It is the
equivalent. No.
Just-
No, I do not buy this premise.
I'm eyeballing the series right now, so I can get used to reading it with my eyeballs because book 7 comes out before the audio does, and I'm not fucking waiting. So I have to get used to eyeballing it. It's not the same. It's not. The audio is vastly superior as an experience.
That'll be.
Please, I beg you, even if it's just book 1, please, Jake, I'm begging, please listen to the audio. Of
I
book
don't.
1
Okay.
after you eyeball
Can
it.
you explain why
You're
would there
literally
be
gonna
such?
make Gary cry, Jake.
You're gonna break my heart.
This is
here.
overly dramatic.
I cannot otherwise explain to you how much fun I had listening to Dungeon Crawler Carl the first time. It was an
So,
experience.
I'm quite curious why you're okay with like read book 1, audiobook 1, read book 2, audiobook 2, but not okay with reading them all and then audiobooking them all. That feels like that.
Because you're going to read them all and be like, oh yeah, okay. Hopefully you read them all and go, yeah, that was great. But you're not going to have the same amount of passion for this series as you will if you listen. Because Jeff Hayes gives something to these books that
All
just
right,
isn't
ready?
there in the text.
I'd like to know. I don't have to compromise. Earlier, you're like, I'll compromise. I just like say I have all the cards, so I can do whatever I want.
I will calm down,
What?
and that you won't
I
be
want to
making
ask-
me as
all right.
angry.
Are book 1 and 2 similarly good in your opinion?
Yes.
Okay. I will read book 1 and I will audio book 2. And if I significantly like the audio more,
accept
I will do audio for the rest. But if I doing that, I like it more physically, then I'm reading it physically for the rest. Is that acceptable?
That's acceptable. I accept
Okay.
that. I can already feel my heart calming down.
We've avoided a dairy heart attack, which is good.
I'm okay with that. So long as you've made an honest attempt at appeasing my unhealthy heart, then I appreciate it greatly.
I think this is a reasonable compromise. And so I'm
Thank
doing
you.
it. Now Sam can come on and yell at me for surrendering to the audio.
I'll fight you, Sam. I will. I will fight you.
Okay. I mean, that
there are
also
very
sounds-
few books I will go into battle for, but who knew it was going to be Dungeon Crawler Carl? Certainly I would never have picked it. But yeah, I totally will go into battle for those audiobooks. They're amazing.
Okay, so now that we've reached a compromise, can you admit that it was not a fair comparison to skipping live ship?
No. It's a fair comparison.
No! You're
You're talking to me, Jake.
Ridiculous. No.
Me, who doesn't skip books in my rereads like this. Whatever I feel like rereading, you do. No, I treat Robin Hobb's epically wonderful series with the respect it is due and read every single book.
I
every
haven't
single
reread
time.
Robin Hobb out of order. What is this random slander?
I think she's talking
I'm sorry,
about
Mr.
me.
Dresden, out of order. How many times have you read
Dresden I'll
changes
do out
and
of
not?
order. Yeah.
That's not how you reread, Jake. No. When I say to you,
sometimes I
that
just want to
skipping
read
live
changes,
ships is
though.
the same as not audioing Dungeon Crawler Carl. They are the same.
No, I don't. I
They
refuse
are
to
the
believe this. I refuse to believe that reading
They are
the
the
same
same.
book in a slightly different, totally in a different format
Okay,
is the same
You've
as not
listened
reading
to the
something at all.
audio of Live Ships with Anne Flosnick,
I have not.
haven't you? Good boy.
No,
no,
because
the
I'm very.
experience
I
of
only do.
listening to that is very different to the
True.
experience of reading it. So that is proof right there. The audio is different.
But in this case, that's because it's like it's a negative influence, so it's worse than audioing like anything else. Like,
okay,
I
do
already
you have
like.
an example of an audio that's better than the book?
I legitimately don't. So there, I've have like 2
Then this will
audiobooks
be
where
the
I'm
one.
like, I like that roughly
stand
as
by
much
it.
as the book. And
This
it's the
will be the
Blade
one.
itself and Project Hail Mary, where I'm like, maybe I like the audio as much as I like the book.
Jake, have
Stephen
you
Pacey's a
listened to Way
wizard.
of a Dan yet?
I haven't. I listened to the sampling.
Oh,
It's
that's
really
good.
good. Yeah, it actually
That might
Alan's
be an
narrating
interesting one in the
voice
future.
reminds me of Ewan Morton's narrative voice, like
I
narrating
haven't
voice.
heard you.
He did Lines of Our Song, A Song for a Bone, and The Cinder Spires by Jim Butcher. He's really good. He's probably in my like top couple narrators.
Nice.
Very
nice.
That being said,
Yeah.
reading it physically is better because I'm just
It's different. It's just different. Okay.
yeah.
All I'm saying is the
Audio-
experience of this series is improved after
gonna
an
say-
audio experience.
I was
Just
going to
like
say, audiobooks
Realm of the Elderling.
tend to hopefully elevate a reading experience.
Like Life Ships elevates Realm of the Elderlings. The audio of Dungeon Crawler Carl elevates the Dungeon Crawler Carl series because it's so fucking good. Sound Booth Theatre, seriously, have done an incredible job. The production value on this thing shows. It's amazing.
Well,
I genuinely
but
can't gush enough about this.
but if I read book 1 and audiobook 2, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I liked reading it more, I'll just reread it on audio. I gave it a fair chance, and you can't yell at me if that happens.
I won't.
Okay. All right.
I'm honest enough in myself to know that it is always subjective. And if you attempt this and go, actually, no, I stand by what I said, then that's fine because you've attempted to do it the way that I feel you would enjoy more. And that hasn't been the case. So if what I'm pushing towards you doesn't enhance your experience, then I don't need to keep pushing. But I think it will.
Yeah.
So
Just I've heard that
please, I want
So-
you to love it more.
people say this about like anyway. We'll see. I think it's like I always like it more. I just engage more with things when I read them physically. I almost always like
Most of the time, I would agree with you.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm not gonna do
understand what
live
you're
ship on-
saying.
Yeah, I'm not doing live
That's
ship.
why I'm fighting so hard because I understand.
I'm pretty like I generally for my audio rereads, I'm only doing them for books that apparently have like good narrators. So I'm
Yeah.
not doing live ship on audio ever.
Oh no, God, no, don't ever.
Yeah. I am gonna read the Mad
fine.
Ship in this Subterranean Press edition of the Mad Ship. That's what I'm gonna do.
It's so lovely. I'm so
It
jealous.
is, isn't it? Wanna see the full
It is.
cover?
It's beautiful. I'm very jealous of that. It is.
I
just
assume it's the same thing of just having a nice cover and not really any
Correct.
nice
Yes, it's a
art.
ripoff and vastly overpriced. But I love it anyway.
I actually have a bookbinding kit coming in the post. I'm going to learn how to rebind books, and I'm going to make my own fancy fucking covers for these books because they deserve them.
Ooh.
I
wonder
I'm
what
gonna
color
teach
the
myself how
cloth-
to do it.
I wonder what cover the cloth for Ship of Destiny will be. Because Ship of Magic was kind of like a
When
white.
I learn how to bind my own, I can do it any color I want.
That's true. That is true. And I'm sure there will be some bound Realm of the Otherlings because I'll just
Yeah,
like to know
once
how
I get really
thick
good
these
at it.
pages are. I've done this
Oh,
before on
really good
videos, but
quality
it's
paper.
wild. This book is how many pages?
950.
929.
29.
For Mad Ship.
Yeah. This book is like
Okay, well, it's
Well-
906 in the mass market.
this book is like 1250.
Wow.
This Magic is thicker than the 1250 page book.
That is some nice paper.
It's thick paper. That boy is luxurious paper.
That is a luxurious read. You know,
Yeah.
you get to feel like a man of means when you read that, Jake.
Yes.
Man of means.
You know, if somehow it's even better when reading that would be
Yeah,
wild.
I believe you. I genuinely believe you. because
We're
I-
waiting to
I
see
just-
whether all of my live ship, Tawny Man, and Fitz and the Fool reread just breaks my rating scale, and I give like all of them a 10, and I'm just like, yeah, whatever. Probably
I
won't
would be
happen.
very happy to hear that, but
It was
I don't know. You get to see, because you know where it's going, you get to see much more of the sideways stuff that's happening at the
Yeah.
edges. But you also notice the things that you didn't notice the first time around, where the pacing goes strange, and you're like, this was an odd place to include this. I know why it's needed, but why here?
Yeah.
So it depends on how objective you feel like being, where you go, but I love it anyway. So I'm going to allow for all of these things and love it. Or you go really objective and go, okay, it's, I don't know, 9.2 maybe.
No, the problem is, even if the pacing is weird, Robin Hobb to me is such an outlier in terms of character writing that it's just not gonna happen. So I have Ship of Magic higher on my internal Realm of the Elderlings ranking than most people do. And going through it, I was like, we're gonna find out if I'm crazy. And then I read it, I'm like, nope, everyone else is crazy. This book is absolutely outrageously excellent at everything. But now we're gonna see if they all are. But yeah, like even so, like for Assassin's Quest on my reread, I was like,
I'm
the first time
to your thoughts on that.
Well, it happened already.
No, like I need to talk to you.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, basically what happened, and I was like, yeah, the first time I read it, I had like all these criticisms about it, and also all this stuff that I thought was really good. And I think all my criticisms were like completely fair and accurate. I have since decided I don't care.
Yeah. Because the criticisms now either have no basis because you realize they were there for a reason, or had been given a reason later.
The thing is,
that make more sense.
I think
or you don't care. You love the situation more, and you just don't care.
I do think. So I say this is what I say about it. Do you guys know the movie Whiplash, like the drumming one? Like Simmons is like, "Are you rushing or are you dragging?" If someone shouted that at Robin Hobb while she was writing Assassin's Quest, it'd be like, "I'm doing both. Deal with it."
She'd be like, "An author will rush and drag as she likes."
Yes. She's like, "I'm dragging. No, I'm rushing. No, I'm dragging. No, I'm rushing. I'm really rushing." The book's over.
I'm gonna do both.
Yeah. Which is completely reasonable, but
I think
I don't care.
But you're right. It is an outlier as a series. Because very few other series have plot happening in the background.
Yeah, but I just like literally in terms of how good I think Robin Hobb is as a character writer. Yeah. So I've got my character writing Mount Rushmore for fantasy at this point, and for a long time I was like Hobbs 1, and I couldn't decide who 2 was, and I still can't decide who 2 was. But for me, 2, 3, and 4, not in order, is Louis Bujold is Louis Bujold, George Martin, and Joe Abercrombie. Like the gap for me between those 3 and Robin Hobb is just really large.
It and everybody else on your antagonist list.
Yeah. Where it's like if you graph it out, it's like there just has to be like an arrow pointed up.
It's like it's over there somewhere.
Yeah.
It broke
the gap between 1 and 2 is like the gap between like 2 and like 14.
Well, the thing for me is I've always, it's like Terry Pratchett and Robin Hobb, right? And you can't compare them. They are too different to even try and scale anything to compare them. You just can't. But they both belong on that Mount Rushmore for me. Absolutely as important as each other, and yet they are so vastly different. There would be people going, why are they on the same Mount Rushmore?
Who else makes your Mount Rushmore? You got to pick 2 other people.
Definitely George Martin.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
And the third has always been a struggle for me. That is getting harder the more new things I read, because there's some really amazing stuff out there. I love Catherine Ardern's Light Trilogy. I love it. It's beautiful. Gush. But is she in the same class as George R. R. Martin?
Well, in fairness, is Teddy Roosevelt in the same class as Abraham Lincoln? So...
Well, I can't answer that. I don't know enough about either of them.
Yeah.
But it's always been really hard for that 4th place for me, because that one, it's emotional. That one is the recent read bias, or the one I've been hearing about the most recently to rekindle the love I have for it. So I struggle with that one.
Let's put it this way. And I'm not American, so probably know American history worse than the American people do. But for your Mount Rushmore, you can feel okay about the 4th one being left out, because if you were to describe both presidents, Evie can tell me if this is accurate. If you were to describe both presidents' main accomplishment, Abe Lincoln would be ended slavery in the United States of America. Teddy Roosevelt would be opened a bunch of national parks.
Wasn't he the president during the war, though?
No.
Who was that?
Frank Other?
No. So FDR was World War II. World War One was
FDR is who I'm thinking of.
Coolidge?
Yeah.
Nope. Hoover?
Anyway,
Nope, not
so
Hoover.
it's fine if the fourth one on your Mount Rushmore doesn't match up with the other three. It's chill. We're okay with it.
Okay, well, at this point in time, then, my number 4. So I'm looking at my other loved series, and I'm thinking Melanie Rawn. I really love her books, but I also have read or listened to Dungeon Crawler Carl 6 times since August. So Matt Dinniman kind of has to be in contention here.
Yeah.
But recency bias. And I've been reading Melanie Rawn for a long time.
Woodrow Wilson during World War One, by the way.
Good to know. Today, I'm going to give it maybe to Matt Dinniman because I am truly loving this series so much right now.
But shouldn't half the credit go to the audiobook narrator?
Yes,
it's only so good.
I almost said Jeff Hayes as the narrator.
Is Matt Dinniman really just a Jeff Hayes merchant? I guess that's probably a joke that's not going to work. So there's a sports joke where when someone has like really good results, but you're just like, they only because of this outside thing, you'll be like, if someone's on a hockey team and they have a bunch of points, but they play with Connor McDavid, who's the best player in the world, you go, they're just a McDavid merchant. Like they're not actually
Anyone
on that
who
level.
played for Liverpool and scored goals only got to do that because of Steven Gerrard.
Yeah, they're a Steven Gerrard merchant. So is Dinniman just a Jeff Hayes merchant?
Possibly. I will tell you after I finish eyeballing the series. How's that?
Okay.
But yeah, Jeff Hayes has just been astonishing.
Read Sun Eater.
Hopefully next year.
Oh, okay.
Fingers crossed. It's getting really close, I feel.
So the real question is, when are you going to read a Guy Gavriel Kay book that isn't Fiona Var?
Again, next year. I seriously have things I want to do next year that other things are being moved around. Like I need to do that next year because everybody has been so determined that I'm going to love it that I'm like, well, I must at least enjoy it. Even if I don't love it, I'm going to
even if you like Fiona Var more, it would just be very surprising to me. Like I would struggle if someone was like, "Oh, I love Fiona Var," and then like, "Oh, Song for Our Bone," didn't like it.
I think I'm more likely to go, I will always love that trilogy because of what it is to me. It's the ultimate fantasy comfort read. It has all of the tropes. It has an Arthurian retelling. It has aspects to it that are so familiar with Irish and Welsh and Celtic goddesses. And I'm just like, oh, I just love it as its anchor almost to fantasy for me. So anything he's done that is different, and everything else he's done is different, will be measured differently because it's not doing the same thing for me.
Have you seen the Grimlock Press edition of The Summer Tree?
I have. And when you sent me that link the first time, I nearly cried. I was like, I'm never going to afford them. They're so beautiful. They are so pretty.
Yeah, the interior art is
pretty.
So nice. Anyway.
They're just,
yeah. But now I have a feeling that they're going to only do Fiona Var and then not do any of his other books, and then I'll feel rage towards.
Yeah, I would feel rage at that also if I loved other things more. So I get that. I do get that. And having read more in fantasy, I see far more of the things that I would see now as flaws in the trilogy, but I still love what it's doing. So I haven't reread it for a while, actually. I might do that next week. When I have to have I have to give myself a gap between the next re-listen of Dungeon Crawler Carl. So I might do the Fan of Our Tapestry.
Should I listen to the sample of Dungeon Crawler Carl right now?
Do it. Sorry.
Do it live.
I just love it so much. And you have a cat, so you're going to relate to Princess Donut.
I do have a cat. She's been lying over there and napping this entire time.
Yes, as Donut would also, although I don't know how snarky Vin is. You will know, because even people who have cats that don't talk know when their cat is giving them sass.
Vin is very snarky.
I was going to say, Vin is the definition of sass and snarky.
Vin is extremely snarky.
You will like Princess Donut. She's fantastic.
All right, Jeff Hayes. I'm listening right now.
So excited. If he comes back and says he doesn't like it, I'm going to smack him through the screen.
Reading and listening, by extension, is subjective, dearie.
Well, I listened to two
giving it
sentences and I've decided it's mid, and I'm going to read it for Yeah, we decided to go with chaos. I posted a link in the chat somewhere. I'm probably gonna. I keep pretending I'm gonna wrap things up to keep you guys around. Should I just go scoop Finn from? I don't want to interrupt her nap though.
No, leave her, because then she'll be grumpy. And then she'll be grumpy at you when you're not on the live stream, and you'll have given yourself an unpleasant day.
I don't
Instead
mind
of
when
having
she's
a
grumpy
cuddly
though,
one with her later.
because she's kind of funny when she's grumpy. The problem is she gets grumpy at everything. So since you can't avoid the grumpiness, it makes you feel less guilty about causing grumpiness.
Poor Moxie has been very grumpy with us lately because we butchered him ultimately in trying to get his fur off because it was getting really horribly matted. And our floor looked like we'd shorn a sheep. There was so much fluff on the floor. Like, Jesus. And he was not happy at all. He was so grumpy for so many days because he looks ridiculous. He was sitting on my bed the other day and he had his back to me and he'd bent his head down and he looked like a raw turkey.
Post pictures in Discord. He won't know that you shared him on the internet.
I did show a couple the first day we did it, and he's just so funny.
I have been delaying editing a video for this, so
I would just like to say that I'm giving you the opportunity to have discipline, and it's you that's missing that opportunity. So
listen, this is called loyalty.
You should be going
and friendship because I want to celebrate you, Jake.
Yeah, absolutely. I very nearly made it on time, but I was in the garden building a shed and it was going to rain, so I had to finish.
Oh yeah,
that's why I was half an hour late.
I think most things take priority, especially because I set
an alarm so I could do that before I came in.
I'm like why do people want the Q&A? You can just ask me on Discord and I'll answer. Like, whatever.
Pete, that's next week. You obviously weren't in the watch house.
Look at this guy. Yesterday. I just am choosing to bully Pete because I'm mean. But I'm not actually. I'm only joking.
I very much set my morning around being here on time, so it was only because it was going to rain that I wasn't. Because I do want to celebrate that you made 3K. Like, yay, go Jake! Cool.
Yeah,
you know.
And new bookshelves, they look so good.
They really do. When did you put them up?
They're all hanging bookshelves, right? Or
what do you say?
They're all hanging bookshelves. It looks like
they're floating bookshelves.
Floating, whatever they're called.
Yeah.
They look so good.
Yeah, and they're like thicker, like the entire wall, basically.
Oh, I'm so jealous. That looks so amazing. And I didn't want to say I love your new shelves because I'm thinking I haven't watched Jake's last couple of videos.
Yeah, this is the first
like a couple of months ago.
This is the first time they've been on camera. So
well, I really like them. I think they're great.
And I've got tons of room now. That was my sister's idea. The staggering.
She gets points.
Yeah, she does. Really and it looks really good, but also then it works as bookends on the inside for all the other shelves.
And it gives you that little bit more picture.
Yeah.
You get to see a bit of the front of more books.
And I've got a bunch of I've actually got some shelves that are empty right now because I've got so much more room.
So you can go shopping.
I can get more books. Yeah.
Yay.
Always put the Penguin Canada GGK books in Roy G. Biv order. The first time I got them, I put the order of the rainbow, like red, orange.
Yes. Oh, yes. You've got it. Yes.
The first, like these ones. The first time
they do look good on the shelf. I have to say.
Yeah. If you put them in publication order, they don't look very good. And I remember the first time I got them.
Why would they do that?
I don't know.
I said that out loud and heard myself, and I just because
why not just make?
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah. Why not just make publication order Roy G. Biv order? I don't know. But,
So is the color by the title? So is it by title, or is it just no rhyme or reason to what color they chose?
Yeah.
No, the color's kind of random. I guess it's kind of random. If we go in order, this red one is A Brightness Long Ago.
Okay.
This is River of Stars. This red is slightly darker than this red. These are in the wrong order. This red is The Lions of Our Song.
It looks like A Brightness Long Ago is not even in the same edition.
It's the only one that's not one color. It's got like the birds on it,
Oh,
but
okay.
it is the Penguin Canada edition.
Oh.
I don't know why it's different. Whatever. I guess the other one that's got
Are
some
they all the
patterning
same
on it.
height?
Yes, they're all the same height.
Okay, that's one of our main concerns.
But yeah, it goes Brightness Long Ago, Lines of Our Song, River of Stars, Tigana, Under Heaven, Children of Earth and Sky, Song for Our Bone, Isabel, Sailing to Serentium, Lord Remember. So at least Serentine's together. Last Light of the Sun, Beyond the Star.
They've managed to embrace chaos while color coordinating and getting the height right. They still managed to achieve chaos.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll just get the hardcover for
That
the
would
new
do
ones.
my OCD.
So, like,
in.
I have the
It really
hardcover
would.
for All the Seas of the World.
That would do my head in. Because whichever way it is still wrong.
It's just going publication order looks so much worse. So I just don't even worry about it.
But then it's wrong. Because then the rainbow's wrong.
No, the
So if you
rainbow's
make the
right.
rainbow right.
Roy G. Biv is right. The thing is, they're standalone. So I'm like, Roy G. Biv order is right. The only weird one is River of Stars being to the left of Under Heaven when it takes place 300 years after Under Heaven.
Yeah.
It's kind of bizarre.
These are the problems we readers have.
Yeah.
Is having to internally battle our frustration with our bookshelves.
But if I just went from best to worst, pure chaos.
Just, yeah.
It's actually amazing how terrible they look when they're not in, like, your brain can just tell when this is the correct order. Like, if I switch one thing, if I just go like...
Well, it becomes glaringly obvious that it's in the wrong place.
Yeah. Like, if I do this...
Yeah, please don't.
I'm about to have a fit.
Don't do... No, please don't do that.
Please
don't do that. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
So even now that it's visually okay, mentally, it's still wrong because it's not in publication order.
Yeah, but the standard...
It would do my head in. I would rather have not matching books.
You are not referring... No, Pranav. No.
Oh, God.
Pranav is chaos, though, to be fair.
Bro copies me, but can't copy my bookshelf decoration.
Oh, Gary, I don't think you were here. Maybe you were here when we were talking. So either we need to regroup with Pranav and do the Robin Hood book tag again, since we 3 did it, and I was only 2 books into
you hadn't,
Farseer, or we do a version 2.0 of the Robin Hood book tag because there are characters from Rainwild Chronicles and Fitz and the Fool that are not in that tag. So just saying.
I can't wait to not be invited and to just randomly get a notification every 8 months.
Sorry.
So I randomly get a notification for that video that she tagged me in the description every 8 months.
I'm gonna remove that tag.
I don't even know why. It's just every once in a while YouTube's just like,
listen,
and
the last
I'll get
time
you've been mentioned in a video, and I'm like, oh, Evie mentioned, Robin Hood book tag, and I'm like, wait, did she do another one of these? And then I check, it's the 2-year-old video.
So here's the thing, confession time, okay? Sometimes I get really depressed and I'm like, I'm just gonna unlist and delete everything. So I go through and I unlist everything, and then I get into a better mental health space. And I'm like, you know what? This one deserves to be public on the internet. So
because I get those notifications too, and I'm like, oh, Evie's having a day.
So that means whenever I get that notification that your mental health is doing better because it led to you relisting the video.
Indeed.
So actually, that's a Evie's having a good day notification.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Well, that makes it a more fun notification.
It's nice hearing them then because you're like, oh,
yeah.
All right. I am actually gonna it's now that I've said it twice. Well, typed it once, said it once. I think I'm actually gonna start pondering up a version 2 of that. So I will run these questions by you guys. Jake, you are invited by default.
Oh, hell yeah.
Robin Hobbs the goat.
Damn straight. And, now that we've invested so much time and energy, I'm going to have to be part of your dungeon crawler experience.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I'm properly obsessed with it at the moment. Nobody is more shocked than me.
Wait, where are you at now, Pranav?
I think he's in New York.
What?
When did
somewhere
that
in
happen?
America? I think. Are you getting are you doing a PhD, Pranav? Masters. He's
See,
doing
that's worth celebrating too. This is why
he's doing
like
smart.
live.
He's doing smart person things.
Yeah, he's a smart person.
I'm just gonna say what in a very high pitched accent, like
Yeah.
high pitched voice.
Was it? Are you doing PhD or masters right now? I forget.
Something clever.
Masters with a plan of doing PhD later. It was one of those.
In what?
Just moved through
I think, like-
PhD 2 months ago. That is awesome, dude.
Is it like
That like
biology?
kudos.
related? Obviously, you can't just do a PhD in biology. That's not how that works. You have like a thesis. What is your thesis, sir?
Yeah, tell us about the cleverness you are expanding.
I mean, already, no matter what it is, you're way smarter than I will ever be. So
Hey, I'm a high school dropout. Everybody here is smarter than me.
I mean,
so
developmental biology. Yeah.
evolution. Oh, that actually sounds really interesting. And he's now going to go, it's actually really boring.
No, he's smart enough that he once beat me at 30-second chess while he was reading Ship of Destiny.
Dude.
Sorry.
That's
Like
on
we
a
were
whole
playing
other level.
Yeah, we were
Level.
playing 30-second chess, and we were playing for like a while, and then he posted a reaction like and I was like, wait, how are you reading Ship of Destiny? We were playing 30-second chess, and he was like, I was reading a bit between moves. I'm like, dude, we have 30 seconds for the entire game. Like the moves take 0.5 seconds. What are you talking about?
That's crazy clever. That is crazy clever.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
Bros, my boy's wicked smart. One can
Wicked
say.
smart.
we
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That is seriously.
Even he does copy all my opinion. He does copy my opinions though, because he
He's
can't
too
doesn't have
busy
time
doing
to come up
7
with his
other
own.
things.
Yeah, and like he solves Rubik's cubes really fast.
well, I mean, to be fair,
I was always jealous of kids who could do that.
He's got he's got all that brain space taken up by other stuff, so he's got to like copy from other
Yeah.
people.
I mean, he's got to outsource something. I mean, has to be done.
Yeah, but it's finding new ways to fail at that topic. I only ever fail at things in unoriginal ways.
That's brilliant. Oh, that is absolutely brilliant. One of my heart people is doing a PhD, and I have to copy that. I'm going to copy that and send that to her because she will find that hilarious as well.
Wait, finish your undergrad a few months. Did you just skip a master's degree? Master's degrees are for chumps.
I don't
So
know.
a lot of some, well, I shouldn't say a lot of programs, but from what I know, there are some programs that you can go straight into a PhD from your undergraduate, and
Okay.
2 years of that is basically you get a master's in that first 2 years.
I mean, I guess because he went from, I'm pretty sure he didn't do a master's in a few months. That would be, I mean, my boy's wicked smart, but I don't know if he's that wicked smart. Yeah, he's busy with this, so he didn't have time to actually come up with ratings for Guy Gavriel Kay or Black Company books or Terra Ignota or Memory
it's just
and Dream.
not that important to.
So he just copied my
take
scores.
jokes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Wow, that's crazy. That's so impressive. Who else has got something we can celebrate? I like this celebrating things live. It's great.
I got a haircut today, so
Yeah, you.
Good work.
I showered.
yeah.
Hey, it's a big deal.
Celebrate the little things.
I mostly finished building a shed this morning, and I had a shower.
Nice.
Gotta celebrate the little things.
Vin says she did a really good job at napping, and
Nice.
that's
Excellent
where
work.
Yeah,
That is worthy of cuddles.
she's a generational napper. No one can nap as well as her. Once in a lifetime talent.
I would venture Motzi
Nice.
May challenge for that title. Motzi is currently curled up in my bed, and he will be there now until bedtime, when he will go mental for an hour and drive everybody insane before going back to bed.
That reminds me, I need to go tell my husband to go get ice cream, even though he was just at the grocery store.
What type of ice cream was it, Pete? Was it chocolate peanut butter?
I actually think it was.
It was probably mint chocolate chip, if I remember correctly.
No,
he loves mint
no,
chocolate.
chip peanut butter.
How do you know?
Because I was reading the chat when I was catching up.
Oh, okay. I didn't know he specified.
He did. Because
Okay.
there was a gelato sorbet thing happening as well. And it was. So I recently tried.
It's never too cold for
only
ice
made it
cream,
a
Anita.
couple years ago. And most places don't have a Ben & Jerry's store, but they do in Wellington where I live now. And they do DoorDash.
That's a problem.
That's
That's a
dangerous.
problem.
Yeah, there's a Baskin Robbins about 100 meters that way. That's a problem.
Yeah.
There
How
are
do you know
so
something's
few Baskin
unhealthy? When you
Robbins.
can get it easily, it's a problem.
Yeah. But I learned, so yesterday, I donated blood, and I learned that your body burns calories while recovering from that. So
Yeah, and you get so
That's why
tired.
they give
It's
you like,
wicked.
peanut butter.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, so I can technically use the calories that I burned trying to
Yep,
recover
you're
from
in
having
calorie
donating
deficit
blood
now too.
to go have
You need
some
to recover.
some Baskin and Robbins chocolate peanut butter ice cream.
You totally can.
Yeah.
You can also use it before you donate blood because obviously you need that extra energy in you.
And I'm gonna play
get
hockey
you through.
today, so I'll burn calories that I could have 2
You could
scoops.
have 2.
Yeah. I might have 2 scoops.
I endorse this.
treat yourself.
Oh,
Words of Donna.
the nap. Oh, we just heard a meow. What's up? You just woke up from your nap. And you
She's like,
woke-
yeah, I
decided
heard you
you're
talking
angry?
about me.
Yeah.
I am
You
Princess
decided
Donut.
to
Now I
share
need to
rage.
appear on screen.
How do you go straight from sleep to rage every time? That's what I want to know. She goes from like
I am a cat,
she goes from I'm angry at the world, like just instantly.
Yeah, because I was sleeping. I'm not asleep. That's not okay.
Every time she wakes up, she instantly just decides that she needs to yell at the world to feed her.
Oh, but look at the face. She's so pretty.
I mean, who
I do
wouldn't?
admit.
Let's be honest.
I'm sure you get it with George, and they do something naughty or they do something where they're just grumpy, but you look at their face and you're like, "Oh, look
No,
at you."
George
You are-
likes to announce that she's either going to go eat
Huh?
or go use the bathroom or that she's done using the bathroom.
Yeah, because
So-
you have to be aware.
Yeah.
Because you now need to change what you're doing to react.
To accommodate. Yeah.
Absolutely. But this is just the fact
know-
of being the servant to a cat.
Fun fact: once when I was like 1, like I was borderline baby toddler. You know, I'd wake up and
Yeah.
cry as babies and toddlers
do.
are wont to do, and you know, my mom and dad were trying to figure out how to stop. And my dad was like, "Hey, Jake, when you wake up in the morning, don't cry." And then I stopped doing it, and it worked.
That's why you're so absolutely contrary now.
I don't think I'm that contrary.
We're not going to go there.
Hey, he compromised.
Hey,
We've reached
I
compromise.
wasn't
No, we're not
disagreeing
gonna
with
go
you to
there.
be
We've
contrarian.
reached compromise. That's
But
all.
I wasn't doing that to be contrarian. I was doing that because that's my general policy. But yeah, anyway,
This is very-
parenting tip, I guess. If your young
Just tell the
child
child
just
to
is crying, just be like, "Can you not cry every time you wake up?"
But then you have to undo it at a certain
yeah,
age
they
because we
told me
don't
a
want
story.
it to become toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
So,
And then
at some point you've got to go,
Yeah.
you're allowed to cry now.
it wasn't don't cry generally, just don't cry every time you wake up. And my mom apparently was like, "There's no way that's gonna work," and then it did.
I love that for your parents. That is so cool. I kind of hate them for it as well because I'm thinking, I wonder if that would have worked on my kids.
Are you talking about babies or cats, Pranav?
Slice of cheese. Maybe.
I can vouch that does not work
But
for
it's
Vin.
not good for your cat. Cheese is
Yeah.
not good for your cat.
But I can vouch that telling the cat to not meow does
Doesn't
not work.
It's like
if
telling
I-
an angry woman to calm down.
No. Or an
It's
angry man.
never
calm
a
down.
good thing.
Actually, I worked in retail for like 6 years, right? One of the first things they teach you is don't tell people to calm down.
No, it's to say I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I
I was
understand.
too good with
How
the
can
angry
I help
customers
you?
then, and then I'd end up having to deal with them. I'm so glad I don't
Yeah.
work in retail anymore.
I hated retail. Retail.
It's so
People
miserable.
are assholes.
Yeah.
Although I did get my funniest interaction ever way back in the day when I was working in a record shop. I was working in a music store, and it was still the days where cassettes, LPs, CDs were all on the shelf at the same time when something released. So there was a lot happening in the store. And an older guy came in and he goes, I need to exchange this CD because this one doesn't work. It doesn't fit in my CD player. And I'm thinking, that's a really weird thing to be wrong with a CD. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll have a look, see what it is we can do. So I've gone to turn around and put it in our own CD player. So I've got the case in my hand and I'm opening it as I turn around. And he goes, oh, do you have to take it out of the box? I continued turning so that my back was to the man and went, yes.
That was one of the only nice thing about when everyone was wearing masks is I could make confused faces about the dumb things people said and they wouldn't know that I was laughing at them for saying dumb things. But I think the funniest interactions, so I worked at a golf store, and the funniest interactions were always when the young kids threw shade to their dad, like somewhat accidentally. So like I remember two very distinctly. One is he hit it, and like his daughter was just like, that one didn't go very far, Dad. And he's just like, nope, that one didn't go very far. And then someone, his son, who's probably like 5 or something, after he hits it, he's like, why did that one go so far to the right? Or like, why'd you hit that one so far to the right? And he's like, I don't know. And I like when they just throw shade at their parent by accident.
Yeah.
Or with
Say the
brute honesty.
darndest thing.
I am happy about this news, Capricious Fox. This is wonderful news because I think it's marvelous.
Well,
if
I'm
you
gonna
didn't
drop.
already know that. I'm a bit of a fan.
Okay, Jake.
Thank you, Evie.
Lovely to see you.
Whatever you're doing. If you want, I can kick you off here so you don't have a choice to remove the temptation of staying longer and procrastinating.
I can leave studio. Unlike some people who compromise, I have self-control and can, I'm to be definitive about what I'm doing.
Evie,
are you trying to give Derry a heart attack?
As loudly, but it's too much fun for you.
It's true. It's
you don't
true.
do fun
That's why you would never recommend it to me. So
no, because it's too much fun.
I don't know how to have fun.
It doesn't get even a little bit sad until book 4.
I noticed Miss Self-Control still hasn't left.
Okay, bye.
I only compromised because I didn't want to give Derry a heart attack. Okay,
I was going to have a heart attack. Okay,
yeah,
I'm not lying.
I didn't want to live with that.
I still have high blood pressure from that. I was genuinely worked up.
It would have been fine.
I look like this because I built a shed, and my blood pressure hasn't settled down quite since then. I'm quite proud of myself, though. It was a kit set, so it's not like I did it from scratch. But
I mean, if you built it from scratch, that'd be pretty damn impressive. I mean,
well, I would have needed some lumber.
Yeah,
I think I could have done it. Maybe not in one morning.
Yeah, one morning, like in one morning shed, that would be. I'd be like, wow,
that would be something to be proud of. We could be celebrating it.
I mean, it's something to be proud of, not from scratch. Doing it from scratch in one morning would be like an incredible feat of craftsmanship.
It's like a flat pack thing. And I love doing flat packs. I love them. I know that makes me weird. I acknowledge that makes me weird. And when my friend bought, because she wanted it for the garden, she's a garden person. She likes plants. Whatever. She was like, I bought this thing, and I was like, "Ooh, a flat pack. Can I put it together?" And she was like, that would be great. Because I was like, oh, it's a big flat pack. What is it? Can I build it? It was like she'd bought me a present that she now gets to play with. That's what I did this morning.
Oh, I see. As an update, my cat has, after her rage, has had some food and has now picked a different place to having a quick bath.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, Semper Serantium is. It was really, really, I loved it on second. I mean, I loved it on first read, but what if I told you, and I know this sounds crazy, Pranav, Lord of Emperors is also so much better on reread. I know it doesn't sound possible since it's truly unreasonably incredible on first read as well, but it's true.
I tell you, I know I've said this to people before and they look at me strangely, but the reread is when you figure out if a book is actually good. Because the first time you can just enjoy the story and it can be like, yeah, that was really clever. It was really fun, whatever. But you're not really paying attention to the writing necessarily until you reread it and you can explore it a bit more. And will you get more out of it the second time is the key for me. And not every author can do it. Very few can hold up on that reread.
I like a lot of others. I kind of agree. I think you can tell whether, like, because something can be good without being like super deep. but you can tell like
and
if
you can
something
enjoy
has
it for
the
what it is.
do you know like the shoreline thing where it's like if you keep zooming in on a shoreline, it actually still stays detailed because like even if you zoom in on like an individual grain of sand, that grain of sand actually has like as much
Still has,
detail as the entire shoreline. You can tell whether books have that effect. We're like
Yes,
there's some series where
that's an
you keep
excellent
zooming
way of
in
putting it.
and the
Yeah.
amount of detail
You
just
can
stays the
keep
same.
getting deeper and keep
Yeah.
going deeper and yes. And
This
for
is
me, that is very much if you can keep doing that on a reread and keep getting that sense of I'm still unearthing stuff from the story, it's amazing. You know, when you're just sort of just reliving the same story, it can be fun.
People say because it's true. There was research that getting spoiled doesn't actually like decrease the enjoyment of things,
and sometimes increases it because the anxiety of where the story's going isn't there.
But I still feel pretty strongly that we shouldn't spoil people because while it's true, like this, I often enjoy books more the second time through when I know what's going to happen, but I enjoy them differently. And I can get the reread experience whenever I want, but you can only get the first read experience once. So
and that
even
includes
if a spoiler,
the surprise or the shock or the
tension and like the being scared of like truly not knowing what's going to happen. And it's not necessarily a better experience, but it is one that you can only happen once. And when you get spoiled, you miss out on that. And then you just only get the reread experience, which can be better, but I would rather have the reread experience and the first read experience. And then I have both. I
try and fall in the camp of, and please tell me you've seen this film because I'll be so disappointed if you haven't. In The Princess Bride, there's a moment in the book, in the story, where the grandfather stops telling the story and says, she doesn't die here. You were getting anxious. She doesn't die here.
With the eel,
and I love that there's a recognition that this is a moment of tension for people who aren't aware where the story goes. And I love that it was, she doesn't die here. Because it doesn't tell you how she gets rescued. It doesn't tell you what's going to happen. So while it's a spoiler, it's not a spoiler. It just takes the anxiety away. It's gone, we're in a high tension situation, but it will be okay. And I like that level of kind of spoiler of going, okay, this is going to be really dramatic and lots of things are going to happen, but most people are going to be okay. I'm okay with that level of spoiler.
Also, that one also has the added benefit of kind of adds to the level of charm to the the grandpa telling the story. Yeah, I have read and Princess Bride and seen the movie. Yes,
I just love that story.
They're
it's fantastic. One of the perfect. It's
that
one
frame
of the
narrative,
most perfect stories.
That frame narrative is so funny. I think it's it makes it so it's
and
like taking a bunch of
perfectly to interrupt where it's needed and give you that little bit of humor, and I think it's so clever.
And it works so well because it's like you end up being able to tell a story where like all the pieces and individual scenes of the story are meant to be satirical, but it's put together in a way that can be enjoyed unironically.
Yes, absolutely. You can be in it and just going, this is actually just a really lovely story.
This is the dilemma. Yes. Yeah. This is my life.
Yeah. For all of us, Pranav. Yeah. All of us.
Thinking of what books I'm probably going to read next year.
Gone, there are so many books I'm never going to get to. I'm going to enjoy the ones I love as often as I want to, which is why I've read Dungeon Crawler Carl so many times since August. Also, when you have mental health issues, going to something is far, far easier than reading even something light that you don't know. That's a real challenge. So this is why I say, okay, I know I'm going to read Sun Eater soon, but not right now. I've got stuff going on. Brain's not. I don't have the capacity to take on a new read, no matter how great it's going to be, because too many people whose opinion I trust have told me I'm going to enjoy it. So it's going to be something I enjoy. Doesn't matter. I still don't have the capacity to pick it up. So a reread is safe on a number of levels, and that it keeps my brain active and keeps me being able to read and being able to enjoy stories and getting that enjoyment without the anxiety and the stress and the difficulty of a new read. And because I'm always reading, it means that when I am ready, I'm ready to just pick up the next book. And it happens to be a new one. And sometimes sometimes I love them so much, I then have to reread it many, many times just to get it out of my system.
I also, one thing, I think the
Yes,
fact that I know I'm going to reread books makes the first read of books have less pressure. Because like if I know
Yes.
I'm only ever going to read a book once and I don't get something, I'm kind of like,
You're
oh,
never
am I
gonna get
missing
it.
this forever? But I'm like, whatever. If I like it enough to care that I don't understand this, I'm gonna read it again at some point. I'll
Yeah.
figure it out then.
Yeah.
I think I might wrap things up considering I haven't actually answered a question in like 30 minutes.
Yeah, we've been busy
But I'll
chin-wagging.
say next year I'm probably gonna reread physically, not on audio. I'm gonna have random audio rereads going. I'm gonna reread The Mad Ship, Ship of Destiny,
Nice.
Storm of Swords, Howling Dark.
I
and
love
the
this
Summer
just
Tree.
random books of series.
Well, I've reread.
I
reread
had
the
to
first
go at you
four.
about it earlier, but I'm kind of impressed you can do that because I can't.
Well, I'm not. I'm not. I've reread the first four Realm of the Elderling, but like I've reread Farseer and Ship of Magic. So and I've reread a Game of Thrones and Clash of Kings recently, and I've reread
Actually,
Empire
yes, yeah.
Silence. So they're all continuing. I'm not going in. I go in random only for Dresden because that's kind of my comfort thing, and
Yeah.
I'm like I'm not. I know I'm not actually going to read all 17. So sometimes like I just want to read like Turncoat. You know,
When is 12 months going to come, do you think? Because
we don't know. It's Jim Butcher time. Yeah. So Jim Butcher estimates tend to be optimistic. So in interviews, he'll be like, I should be done writing it in like 3 weeks. And then it's like, all right.
Okay, so what, 6 months?
That translates like a couple months. Yeah.
Okay.
He has a progress bar going on 12 months and it's like 80% done.
Ooh.
And it is worth noting he does revise as he writes. Like he's not a first draft,
so
revise. He's like write a chapter, revise the
actually-
chapter, revise the chapter. Okay, this chapter's done. Next chapter, etc.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you for coming, everyone. Still got 14 people. That number's slowly going down. Haven't answered a question in like an hour.
Sorry, guys.
Thank you for coming on, Derry and Evie.
Yes.
I'm sure everyone enjoyed watching you shout at me.
Well, I accomplished my mission, so
that is good. Mission accomplished. You built a shed and got me to compromise with you.
Showered and convinced you to at least go eyeball audio.
Okay.
For the first.
That's a
so I'm
pretty
happy
successful string of like 3 hours.
Yeah, I'm having a good morning. I may go to bed now. That's my day finished.
Good work. I might, maybe pet your cat a few times. All right. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you, chat, as always. I'm clicking end stream. There's always a delay. It's always